Chapter 1612. Lingshao Peak, Lingshao Platform Competition Arena. The atmosphere was indescribably complicated. Everyone looked at the Lightning Saint clan and the Demon Eye clan with a strange look. Shangguan Wuzi is really ruthless. I don't think the Demon Eye clan and Lingshao Peak have any grudges. The preliminaries have just ended and they're already stepping on the Demon Eye clan. Aren't there 3 seats? The Lightning Emperor chose the Demon Eye Emperor platform himself. Come on. Everyone knows that the Lightning Emperor will choose that seat. Shangguan Wuzi is purposely sucking up to the Lightning Saint clan. He's throwing away the Demon Eye clan's reputation. It's a pity that the Demon Eye Saint clan had so much courage to participate in the Sacred Race Conference, but they didn't expect to be made a fool of before the competition even officially started. I still had a glimmer of hope that the Demon Eye clan could keep their title as one of the 10 strongest sacred clans. Looks like they're done for. When the Thunder Emperor ascended to that position, he had already announced the ambition of his race. Their goal in this Sacred Clan Conference was clear: to replace the Demon Eye clan and become one of the 10 strongest sacred clans. Without a doubt, the Lightning Saint clan had the power to do so, but no one knew if the Demon Eye clan had the ability to stop them. Lingshao Peak's Lord Shangguan Wuzi didn't care about the uproar hidden in the cheers. He didn't even look at the Demon Eye clan. Perhaps in his eyes, this was just a chance to rope in the Lightning Saint clan. There was no need to care about the Demon Eye clan. The 10 Directions Emperor's platform. 8 great emperors. He was like an ancient giant god that guarded the world, causing people to feel fear at first sight. Does it feel good? Primordial Emperor, who was sitting next to the Lightning Emperor, smiled playfully. The Lightning Emperor lowered his head humbly. It's very stressful. Ha 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 ha, since you're already here, there's no need to pretend anymore. If you have the ability to sit here, we naturally won't say anything. This is a great opportunity for your Thunder Saint clan. Seize it. A straightforward person didn't beat around the bush. This was especially true for the gods, who stood at the pinnacle of the world. There was no need for them to hide anything. With that, the Antiquity Great Emperor looked straight ahead again. The Lightning Emperor nodded respectfully. However, when he sat up straight and looked at the Lingshao balcony again, a proud and domineering smile appeared on his face. Hidden between his brows was the ambition of a king, like the king of beasts that looked down on the world. Everyone, it's getting late. We're about to enter the second round of the Sacred Race Convention's pinnacle competition. Shangguan Wuzi immediately took over the task of presiding over the conference. Vice Peak Lord Luo Shan and the other high-ranking members of Spirit Empress Peak also quickly retreated outside the arena. Boom! Bang! The deafening sound of the gun salute bloomed in the sky, and colorful rainbows rained down. The majestic war drums and the sound of the horn converged into a passionate war song. In an instant, the hearts of everyone present calmed down from the complicated and restless state just now. Everyone's eyes overflowed with strong anticipation. This old man will briefly explain the rules of the second round. Shangguan Wuzi raised his hand and took out a gold-leaf book. He opened the book and announced in a clear voice, "The second round of the Sacred Race Convention is arena defense. 2 people will fight against each other at the start. The winner will be the arena master, and the loser will be directly eliminated. There are 2 ways to advance." 2 ways to advance? Everyone's heart couldn't help but light up. Shangguan Wuzi swept his eyes across the arena and continued to announce. The first way to advance is the points system. Every time you win a battle, you will get 1 point. You can continue to defend the arena, or choose to stop the battle. If you fail to defend the arena, besides being eliminated, all the accumulated points will belong to your opponent. Hearing this rule, the audience couldn't help but clamor. This competition rule is even more ruthless than the preliminary round. The points from winning 1 or 2 battles won't be enough to advance at all. Yes, if you want to advance, I'm afraid you'll have to get at least 4 or 5 points, right? 4 or 5 points, that means you'll have to win 4 or 5 opponents consecutively. After fighting so many battles in a row, all the moves and trump cards he had were directly analyzed by the other opponents in the audience. Too ruthless, too ruthless. Without a doubt. The rules of the points system were particularly cruel. Without enough points, you couldn't reach the promotion line. But if you continuously defended the arena to get points, you would naturally be targeted by more powerful opponents. The points that you worked so hard to earn would directly fall into the hands of others. It's impossible to advance by points. It's too difficult. Let's hear the second way to advance. Shangguan Wuzi immediately turned to the second page of the gold leaf. The second way to advance is, everyone's heart tightened. Domination. Monopolization? Everyone looked at each other. What kind of rule is this? It sounds even more difficult than the points system. Domination, the second way to advance, stands on the arena as the champion. If no one dares to accept the challenge, then it's called domination of the arena, and you'll directly complete the promotion. Wow, as soon as this statement came out, the audience was in an uproar. The contestants who had advanced in the preliminary round all felt great pressure. Although they had expected that the promotion system would be very difficult, they didn't expect it to be so harsh. Compared with the preliminary round, which lasted a day and a night, this was like a purgatory level of difficulty. I'm going crazy. As expected, there's no such thing as the most difficult, only more difficult. Even those monstrous geniuses of the strongest sacred clans can't dominate the arena, right? Not necessarily. If they want to preserve their strength and weight until the finals, it's very likely that they'll get through this round more peacefully. However, it's only limited to those few people. The Sacred Clan Conference is really terrifying. 2 ways to advance. Many people felt a headache coming on. Interesting. Yen Hanyu of the Burning Sky Saint Clan had a thought-provoking smile on his face. I like this flexible competition system where I can choose my opponents. As he spoke, Yen Hanyu's gaze swept over the spectator seats of the Samsara Saint Clan. On the Samsara Saint Clan side, Yu Shinin was like a bright moon among the stars. No matter how calm he was especially dazzling. The corners of his mouth curled into a faint smile. Compared to the restless crowd, he was very calm. Chen Jingfeng, who was not far from Yen Hanyu, shook his head solemnly. This kind of rule doesn't give anyone any advantage, the monstrous geniuses of the 10 strongest sacred clans. They couldn't say that they understood each other 100%. If they wanted to dominate, they would definitely attract the challenge of another clan. If they were evenly matched, even if they succeeded in dominating, their trump card would be exposed prematurely. By the time they reached the next round, their opponents would have already seen through them. The number of people who advance in this round is 10. Those who dominate will be the first, and those who advance with points will be the second. Shangguan Wuzi announced. Phew. There was still a long sigh below the stage. Those who wanted to win 4 or 5 points to test their luck and advance to the next round complained incessantly. He's simply a demon. He's going to eliminate more than 90% of the people. This kind of conference is tailor-made for the 10 strongest sacred clans. At most, we're just here to join in the fun and go through the motions. Does anyone have any questions? Shangguan Wuzi asked loudly. Everyone was speechless. The rules were already clear enough. Since everyone understands the rules, I solemnly announce that the second round of the Sacred Clan Conference will begin. In the sky above the spiritual Empress Peak, giant eagles soared and white cranes cried. Shangguan Wuzi immediately retreated to the outer area of the high firmament platform, leaving the huge floating platform there. However, due to the cruelty of the competition, the previously confident crowd was now somewhat hesitant. No one dared to be the first ringmaster. Who's first? No one dares to go up? Then I'll be the first ringmaster. Below the stage, a relatively short young man wanted to be the first to be the center of attention. However, right at this moment, a deafening explosion reverberated in the center of the Lingshao balcony. Rocks crumbled and the surface of the platform split open. Along with the incomparably cold and terrifying wind, the aftermath spread out in all directions like a torrent. Everyone's heart was shocked. Looking over, on the platform, in the sunken rubble pit, a young figure exuding a desolate and domineering aura directly stood there arrogantly. That short young man fiercely swallowed a mouthful of saliva. He was so scared that his eyes turned round. He quickly retracted his front foot that had stepped on the platform and immediately ran back dejectedly. However, no one in the audience sneered at his comical posture. Looking at that figure, Qin Jingfeng, Yan Hanyu, Long Mie and the others couldn't help but raise their brows. That young man slightly raised his eyes, and the corner of his mouth raised into a frivolous smile. Desolate Holy Clan, Xin Yuan requests to fight. Chapter 1613. Xin Yuan of the Chaos Holy Clan requests to fight. The frivolous smile and the slightly raised tone carried a hint of disdain and mockery. In an instant, the crowd that had thoughts about the first round of the competition was instantly terrified. One by one, they retracted their footstep. Sun Yuan. He was on the same level as Chen Jingfeng, Yan Hanyu, Long Mie, Yu Shinin, and other super geniuses. Without a doubt, he was one of the favorites to win this time. The first match. Such a high-profile entrance seemed to be announcing the Chaos Holy Clan's position as the overlord. The arena master had appeared. Where was the challenger? Everyone subconsciously glanced at the spectator seats of the strongest Chaos Holy Clans. This lunatic. Yan Hanyu of the Burning Sky Saint Clan curled his lips and hesitated. He then shook his head. Forget it. I don't see him as an opponent yet. You might not be able to beat him, Qin Jingfeng said from not far away. That's not for sure. As long as you're confident in winning the match, Yan Hanyu, will definitely not be afraid. I might not be able to beat Xin Yuan either, Qin Jingfeng replied. All right. You win. A dozen consecutive counts passed quietly. It seemed that the Chaos Holy Clans had no intention of entering the arena immediately. After all, it was the first match. The 10 strongest Chaos Holy Clans were all aiming for the championship. Even if they could win the first match against the extremely powerful Sun Yuan, they would probably have to reveal their trump card. For Chen Jingfeng, Yan Hanyu, and the others, it did not seem to be necessary. Seeing that there was no movement, Shangguan Wuzi, the Peak Master of Spirit House Peak, invited, "Where is the challenger?" However, there was a crowd below, but no one stepped forward. If no one accepts the challenge, he will become the dominator and directly advance to the next round. Whoosh! The spectator seats could not help but become restless. The appearance of the dominator in the first match was truly unexpected. However, on second thought, the opponent was none other than Xin Yi of the Chaos Holy Clan. It was not surprising that he could dominate the first match. Soon, the countdown to 10 had passed. On the high sky platform, only Xin Yuan was emitting an extremely powerful, extraordinary aura. Shangguan Wuzi understood tacitly. Immediately, he raised his left hand and said, "I declare, whoosh!" However, at the same time, a gentle breeze flowed over the platform. Everyone was shocked. They saw a red flower umbrella surrounded by a rain of petals flying towards the Ling Shao rooftop. The red flower umbrella was stable and light like a dancing butterfly. Luo Mengshang, who was sitting next to Chu Hen, had a hint of surprise in her beautiful eyes. This is, under the gazes of tens of thousands of people, the red flower umbrella floated several hundred meters in front of Xin Yuan. When it was less than 2 meters away from the ground, the flower umbrella suddenly stopped. Following that, the flower umbrella was slowly lifted, revealing a graceful and enchanting woman in a dancing dress with light red makeup underneath the umbrella. Faint chi patterns mixed with the falling petals spread out in all directions. Looking at the woman under the umbrella, everyone was stunned. Holy Abyss Tribe, looting you, please enlighten me. Her gentle voice carried a hint of coldness. Coupled with her reader's temperament, Looting You's appearance immediately touched a light chord in everyone's heart. Oh my God, it's Looting You! She's a little strong. The first round is a battle between the two strongest holy clans. That's too unexpected. Here's our chance. As long as there's one less popular champion, there'll be one more person to advance to the next round. It's best if there are more battles like this in the later round. At first, they thought that Sun Yuan would dominate the competition and advance to the next round. Who would have thought that Looting You from Holy Abyss Tribe would appear at the last minute? In other words, one of them from Antiquity Holy Tribe and Abysmal Holy Tribe would definitely be stopped in the second round. One had to admit that many people hoped to see such a situation. After all, there were only 10 people to advance to the next round. Invisible auras intersected, causing the space to vibrate rhythmically. Looking at Looting You under the red umbrella, Sun Yuan's eyes were filled with interest. If you're in such a hurry, you might lose. Looting You's clear eyes rippled. She caressed the handle of the umbrella and replied calmly, "There's only one champion. It doesn't make much difference if you lose earlier or later." "Hee, you're quite open-minded," Sun Yuan replied. Looting You's slender hand fiddled with the red umbrella in her hand and her red lips parted. "Plus, I might not lose. Seductive but not charming. Cold but not indifferent." Looting You was probably the only one in the world who could decorate her seductive red makeup to be so elegant and beautiful. Her every move and every word touched many people's hearts. "Looting You, go for it. Holy Abyss Tribe will win." Soon, cheers and jubilation broke out from the audience. Sun Yuan raised his thick eyebrows and looked at Looting You with a hint of provocation. "I'll let you attack first." "I'll accept your invitation." Looting You's beautiful eyes with red eyeliner squinted. The moment she said that, a strong gust of wind swept across the Lingshao balcony. Swoosh! Looting You moved her jade-like hand, and the red umbrella in her hand immediately flew toward her opponent. It spun at a high speed like a spiral flywheel. As it moved, the red umbrella split into 2, then 4. In an instant, it turned into over 100 red umbrellas that filled the sky like dandelion seeds fluttering in the wind. They drew bright and beautiful arcs in the air as they flew towards the primitive holy clan. The more beautiful something was, the more dangerous it was. This sentence could not be more suitable for the current situation. The red makeup flower umbrellas that blotted out the sky seemed colorful, outlining a beautiful picture. But in fact, every red umbrella was a deadly weapon. Swoosh! Swoosh! The rapidly spinning umbrellas were like sharp flywheels that tore the air apart. They attacked Sun Yuan from all directions and different angles. The latter moved his eyes left and right, crossing his arms in front of him. Then, he pushed them outward. Break! Hum! Along with a violent tremor in the space, a violent aura like the eruption of a mountain torrent suddenly soared into the sky. Streaks of red energy cyclones were like pillars of magma that broke through the earth. In an instant, all the red umbrellas that pounced toward him were blown away. Gaudy! Sun Yuan's entire body was flowing with crimson pillars of primordial chaos. Each of his fists and palms contained peerless heavenly might that could destroy mountains and rivers. The explosive power of the primordial sacred physique was number 1 among the 10 strongest sacred clans. It was extremely ferocious. As soon as he made his move, Sun Yuan showed everyone what the power of primordial chaos was. In front of Sun Yuan, Looting You was calm and composed. She didn't show any signs of fear. Then, Looting You raised her wrist slightly. Her slender fingers turned in the air, and the red umbrellas that were blown away quickly closed up in the void. The closed umbrellas immediately turned into cylindrical shape. Swoosh, 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 a series of rapid wind-piercing auras stacked and the sky was filled with light beams. The closed umbrellas were like sharp swords returning to their roots, sweeping up a biting cold murderous aura as they attacked Sin Yuan once again. This time, Lu Dingyu's attack was extremely fast and her moves were even stronger. Heh! Sin Yuan sneered. Facing the concentrated attacks that were like rain, he wasn't afraid at all. In the next instant, Sin Yuan suddenly leaped up. Under the shroud of the powerful primordial chaos, he crashed out of the encirclement like a ferocious beast. Then, he directly swooped down like a meteorite that broke through the sky, blasting toward Lu Tingyu who was in front of him. Primordial fury, the rapidly flowing primordial chaos pillars all gathered on Sin Yuan's fist and arm. In an instant, the shadow of a primordial beast that looked like a dragon python suddenly appeared in the sky behind him. Sin Yuan threw out a punch. The ferocious and terrifying power crushed down. Lu Dingyu was like a butterfly in the wind in the middle of a storm. Not good. The audience that supported Lu Dingyu couldn't help but be shocked. However, Lu Dingyu's expression didn't change at all. She clenched her jade-like hand and a red umbrella quickly fell into her palm. The umbrella instantly opened up and blocked in front of her like an umbrella shield. Along with the rapid rotation of the umbrella, a series of gorgeous runes suddenly lit up on the surface of the umbrella. Heaven and earth suddenly fell into darkness. A deep and serene aura that seemed to originate from the undercurrent of the deep sea wreaked havoc in the entire area. Boom! The violent and terrifying impact hit the umbrella shield firmly. A heavy deafening sound was heard and a vast and terrifying shockwave swept out diagonally. The stage beneath Lu Tingyu immediately collapsed and debris filled the sky. Chapter 1614. In 1 second remember, exciting pop-up window free reading. Rumble, the ferocious, beast-like impact force was unleashed on the red umbrella shield. Along with a deafening explosion, the center of the soaring clouds balcony immediately caved in. The strong, piercingly cold wind blew towards the surrounding mountains and onto the spectator seat. Everyone's expression changed slightly. As expected of the battle between the primordial holy tribe and the abysmal holy tribe. Their first move was already so terrifying. The wantonly flowing light ripples spread along the surface of the soaring clouds balcony. To everyone's surprise, circle after circle of dark and obscure talisman markings actually appeared on the surface of the arena. The runes were faintly discernible, forming an invisible gravitational force that absorbed the scattered power. What's that? Energy dispelling array, used to absorb the impact waves that are randomly released. I see. I knew it. The power that the two of them released could directly disintegrate the entire fighting platform. Needless to say, the spiritual abyssal peak had put in a lot of effort to host the Sacred Clan Convention. As the battleground, the Lingxiao balcony was equipped with the restriction of energy dissipation formation. Under the condition that it didn't affect the performance of the contestants, it could quietly dissipate the impact force that was spread out and prevent the aftermath from surging to the surrounding audience seats and causing chaos. Otherwise, with a battle of this level, the over 2,000 feet long and wide soaring clouds fighting platform could be smashed into pieces with a flip of the hand. Sin Yuan's fist force was as ferocious as a dragon. The flower umbrella in front of Lu Dingyu spun rapidly like a spiral light wheel. Circles of vigorous light ripples spread out in all directions. The seemingly beautiful and fragile flower umbrella was a defensive artifact in Lu Tingyu's hand. Buzz! Suddenly, Lu Tingyu, who was under the umbrella, narrowed her eyes. Then, she spun the flower umbrella in the opposite direction. Together with the dazzling and complicated runes on the flower umbrella, a revolving repulsive force suddenly exploded. Bang! A heavy muffled sound rang out, and a peerlessly fierce scarlet primordial chaos fist pillar actually turned around and blasted towards Sin Yuan. The latter's expression changed slightly. Ha-bang! The great desolation force, which contained boundless domineering divine might, blasted in front of Sin Yuan. However, the latter retreated and leaped up, dispersing the force on his body. Beautiful! The eyes of everyone from Holy Abysmal Tribe lit up. Just as Lu Dingyu used Sin Yuan's power to retaliate against himself, Lu Dingyu raised the flower umbrella in his hand. Hua, a strong wave of air arose, and Lu Dingyu's figure actually appeared in a dreamy state of overlapping forms. Subsequently, Lu Dingyu's figure suddenly split into two, and a clone that was exactly the same as her appeared by her side. However, the avatar was not holding a flower umbrella. It was a lute. Her red makeup was enchanting, and her eyebrows were creased. Lu Dingyu's doppelganger plucked the strings of the zither. Whoosh, accompanied by the clear and melodious sound of the pipa, a few transparent air arrows shot out, like the world's most brilliant hidden weapons, exploding with an extremely fast offensive speed towards Sin Yuan. The latter could clearly feel the powerful rhythm in the air. However, he was unable to detect the form of that power. Humph! Sin Yuan snorted softly and raised his hand to launch a palm. The ferocious power instantly gathered into a giant magma-like palm print. He originally thought that this attack would be enough to shatter the incoming power. However, just as the two collided, there were a few muffled sounds. The magma-like palm print was forcefully pierced, and a gap of a few meters was torn open. Sun Yuan's eyes turned cold, and he immediately dodged to the side. Swoosh! A sharp piercing wind whistled past Sun Yuan's ears, and a strange distorted phantom appeared in the transparent air. At the same time, the rhythm of Lu Dingyu's doppelganger's pipa increased rapidly. The big strings were as noisy as the rain, like pearls and jade falling on a plate, surging fiercely. It was as though a golden army was fighting fiercely on the battlefield. The mysterious and wonderful sound of the pipa directly created a scene of a drunken killing field and a chaotic battle in everyone's mind. It made them feel as though they were there. The terrifying rhythm in the air became stronger. Sin Yuan was continuously launching a series of swift and fierce invisible attacks from all directions. It was completely transparent. Their eyes couldn't detect any form of attack at all. However, the most shocking thing was that the sky above the spirit abyssal peak had become so dark that not a single ray of light could penetrate it. The entire Ling Shao rooftop competition venue silently became night. What's going on? Is it an illusion? No, it's the abyss territory created by Lu Dingyu. In this dark and gloomy world, everyone felt as if they had been silently summoned to another space plane without any warning. There was no daylight in this world. There was only darkness as a companion. What are the characteristics of the Abyss Saint Physique? Chu Hen, who was sitting next to Luo Mengchang, casually asked. Although he had been with Luo Mengchang for a long time, Chu Hen didn't seem to know much about the Abyss Saint Physique. Luo Mengchang smiled lightly. The Abyss Saint Physique contains the most mysterious Yin energy in the world. It can directly connect to the 9 heavens 10,000 phenomenon Qi. Those who possess the Abyss Saint Physique bloodline can control the extreme Yin netherworld energy derived from all living things in the world. Those with extraordinary bloodline could overturn heaven and earth and change everything in an instant. Some could even turn day into night. Amazing! Chu Hen revealed a look of surprise. The Abyss Saint Physique can actually overturn day and night. Unbelievable! However, my Abyss Saint Physique is different from Sister Tingyu's. Luo Mengchang said thoughtfully. Oh? What's different? Chu Hen was a little surprised. I'll tell you later. Let's watch Sister Tingyu's competition first. At this moment, everyone on the high sky platform felt as though they were in a land of darkness. Countless monstrous geniuses were amazed by Lu Dingyu. As expected of the successor of the Abyss Emperor. Truly admirable. Once the Abyss territory is created, Lu Dingyu will have the home advantage. I feel like she's going to advance. Not necessarily. Sun Yuan hasn't used his trump card yet. Yes, it's hard to say what the result will be. Whoosh! The momentum of a powerful army rose, and the murderous aura expanded endlessly. It immediately filled the entire high sky platform. Suddenly, the pupils of everyone present couldn't help but constrict. In an instant, an extremely shocking scene appeared before everyone's eyes. That's the sky. The ground. Left and right. Front and back. Countless transparent, soul bodies covered Sin Yuan's surroundings. Under the dim light, the soul bodies were faintly discernible. Each of them was wearing armor, riding tall warhorses, holding cold spears and sharp blades. The cold aura was bone-piercing. Every almost transparent figure emitted a terrifying aura that could destroy the heavens and earth. Looking at this scene, everyone was astonished. This was the mysterious power that easily pierced through Sin Yuan's palm attack. That was just a single strike. But now it was like an army of thousands. Indeed, it was a powerful army. Amidst Lu Tingyu's urgent pipa music, a shapeless sound wave invaded everyone's minds, and the souls that covered the entire soaring sky terrace were like an army that came from the depths of hell. All of them carried an irresistible force of destruction as they charged towards Sin Yuan from all directions. The chilling destructive storm quickly gathered towards Sin Yuan. Chapter 1615. Qianqian. The latest chapter of Divine King Wu Ji. Zing, the impassioned pipa music made people feel as if they were trapped in the chaos of the golden spears and armored horses. In the dark world, the high firmament balcony's competition area was filled with eerie winds. The world changed as the terrifying Sun Luo army, which seemed to originate from the Nine Hells, swept up a destructive force that could pierce through everything and charge towards Sin Yuan in midair. Woo! Screech! The almost transparent soul bodies were faintly discernible under the dark light, dragging a majestic airwave in the air. The dark red, primordial domain that Sin Yuan released was torn apart by the impact of the soul bodies from all directions. Piercingly cold spears, cold, sharp blades, and the armored warhorses that were charging at the front were like an unstoppable ghost army that charged towards Sin Yuan from all angles. The threatening aura of destruction filled the entire area. Lu Tingyu, who was holding a red flower umbrella, and her doppelganger, who was playing the pipa, were like the ancient witches of the undead army. Beautiful and dangerous, the audience couldn't help but feel their heartstrings tighten. Looking at the heart-palpitating scene in front of them, countless people were on Lu Tingyu's side. Suddenly, just as the undead army that seemed to be able to tear the heavens apart arrived in front of Sun Yuan, an extremely intense and violent spatial rhythm suddenly appeared above the sky-reaching sky platform. Accompanied by an invisible repulsive force that was as majestic as the primordial domain, everyone felt the scene in front of them become sluggish. All the undead souls that were charging towards Sin Yuan seemed to have fallen into a state of stillness. Humph! You want to take me down just like that? How naive! Sin Yuan's face was suffused with mockery. In an instant, he spread his arms outwards, and the monstrous primordial domain burst out like pillars of dragon energy. Rumble along with the rolling wind and thunder, countless powerful energy streams gathered along Sun Yuan's arms, and then condensed into an incomparably solid and manic dark red energy sphere in front of his palms. Space distorted rapidly. The two red energy bodies were no more than 5 to 6 meters in diameter. Their surfaces were abnormally smooth. Although they did not look big, the energy aura they emitted was extremely oppressive. It's the prehistoric jade, oh my god! Someone in the audience exclaimed. Primal jade? Hearing this name, Chu Hen could not help but narrow his eyes. It's a technique that compresses primordial energy together. It's extremely dense, Li Wushang explained in a low voice. In the upcoming Sacred Clan Convention, any of the strongest sacred clans, super monstrous geniuses present would very likely become Chu Hen's next opponent. Taking advantage of the opportunity to watch the battle from the sidelines, Chu Hen naturally wanted to understand the trump cards of the sacred race experts and the characteristics of their bloodlines. Don't underestimate those two great desolation jades. The power value contained within them is at least as large as 10 huge mountains. Li Wushang added a sentence. The value of 10 huge mountains? Hearing these words, Chu Hen's heart became solemn. He had originally thought that the prehistoric jade and his magnificent star jade were similar technique. But from the looks of it, the power contained in the magnificent star jade was probably not even a tenth of the prehistoric jade. Chaos of the Great Desolation, Sun Yuan lightly shouted. In an instant, with him as the center, the prehistoric jade on his left and right rapidly rotated, like stars revolving around the bright moon. As they rotated at high speed, the number of prehistoric jades divided into 4 into 8. In an extremely exaggerated manner, they transformed into 8 extremely dense spherical energy bodies. It was comparable to the gathering of a storm. As the 8 prehistoric jades rotated, all the dead spirits that were charging over were smashed into pieces the moment they came into contact with them. Boom! Bang! The heavens and earth were about to split apart. Wherever the 8 prehistoric jades went, they were unstoppable, as if they were crushing dry weeds. It set off a primordial storm that shook the heavens and earth, sweeping out in all directions. The army of dead spirits that pierced through the sky and tore apart the sky were completely crushed by the impact of the prehistoric jade. Looking at Sun Yuan, who held the 8 prehistoric jades and stood proudly in the sky, everyone's faces were filled with shock. Even Chen Jingfeng, Yan Hanyu, Lu Yuji, Long Mie, and the other super-monstrous geniuses were faintly moved. What a ruthless person! Yan Hanyu of the Burning Sky Saint Clan said solemnly. Clang! Under the violent impact force of the primal desolation jade, the huge high firmament balcony rapidly collapsed and exploded. Accompanied by countless cracks that extended outwards, the destructive storm created by the 8 primal desolation jade instantly submerged all the netherworld chi within it. Humph! I've said it before. Things that are too flashy are useless. Sun Yuan's 5 fingers condensed in the air. In an instant, the 8 prehistoric jades were like a huge divine halo that enveloped an area of 100 feet. They set off an endless destructive force that swept towards Lu Tingyu and her clones. The hurricane roared. Lu Tingyu was like a butterfly caught in a storm. Under the encirclement of the crimson divine ring, the space within several hundred meters of her instantly turned into a forbidden zone of death. In the next second, the doppelganger holding the pipa turned into a rain of petals that scattered in the air and dissipated. Lu Tingyu, who was holding the red flower umbrella, narrowed her eyes. Then, a crescent-shaped holy arc appeared between her brows. 9 underworlds, all-seeing eye rumble. Countless dazzling silver lights interweaved and flickered under Lu Tingyu's body. Countless strands of light patterns immediately turned into a mysterious and unfathomable ancient pattern. At the center of the pattern was a demon with thousands of arms. The demon's appearance was very ferocious. The most surprising thing was that it only had 1 eye on its head. Moreover, that eye only grew in the center of its forehead. That is, the all-seeing force controlled by the 9 underworlds' saint physique. Buzz. Without giving the audience too much time to be shocked, the red flower umbrella in Lu Tingyu's hand suddenly revealed a demonic eye that emitted a gloomy and cold aura. The demonic eye emitted an aura that could make one's soul palpitate. Lu Tingyu's lily-white hands shook the flower umbrella. Extremely powerful 9 underworlds' power spread in all directions. In the next moment, the demonic eye on the flower umbrella suddenly erupted with a terrifying aura that shook the heavens and the earth. Buzz! The entire heaven and earth trembled for a moment. A dazzling silver pillar of light immediately shot out from the demonic eye. The dazzling pillar of light was like a divine blade that pierced through the void. Bang! With a loud and heavy sound, one of the 8 primordial jades was instantly shattered by the silver pillar of light. What a terrifying power! Everyone in the audience was shocked. As expected of the all-seeing eye. Who can block this 9 underworlds' death ray? The all-seeing eye. The 9 underworlds' death ray. It instantly pierced through a primordial jade. Without any pause, It swept up an endless murderous aura and slashed towards Sin Yuan in the sky behind. However, there wasn't the slightest hint of fear on Sun Yuan's face. "Humph, you want to see who's faster?" At the same time, the other 7 primordial jades had already gathered in front of Lu Dingyu. Although there was one less, the berserk power that was released was still enough to destroy the heavens and earth. Boom! In an instant, under the tens of thousands of gazes, the 7 pieces of primal jades gathered around Lu Dingyu exploded like stars, as a frightening power rose into the sky. Chapter 16:16. In 1 second. Remember, there was no pop-up window for free reading. Boom! The raging waves exploded like the stars in the sky. The huge high firmament balcony fell into an earth-shattering storm. The stage, which was full of scars, caved in rapidly. Countless extremely irregular faults and fissures extended in all directions, traversing thousands of meters and reaching all the way to the edge of the arena. The Sacred Clan Conference's arena was equipped with the energy dissipation formation, which could greatly reduce the remaining shockwave. However, the spectators on the surrounding peaks could still feel the strong gravity of the surging shockwave. However, at the same time that the divine ring light wheel formed by the 7 primordial jade engulfed Lu Dingyu, the 9 nether death light from the eye of Sun Luo had also arrived in front of Sin Yuan. Whoosh! The strong air wave was like a sharp blade slicing through the air. The terrifying power contained in the beam of light could be described as piercing through the sky. Just as everyone's heartstrings were stretched taut, a frivolous sneer appeared on Sun Yuan's face. "Seems like I'm a little too fast." Bang! As soon as he said that, the 9 nether deathlight that flew in front of Sun Yuan suddenly dimmed. When it was less than a meter away from Sun Yuan's body, it rapidly shrunk into a tiny beam of light. Then, the tiny beam of light also disappeared. Wow! The remaining beam of light caused a circle of chaotic airflow in the void. Looking at this scene from afar, the audience below the stage were all stunned. Especially the people from Abysmal Saint Tribe, they couldn't help but clench their pale fingers. So close. The distance between them was less than a meter. Seems like the winner has been decided. Yen Hanyu of Burning Sky Saint Tribe crossed his arms in front of him and smirked. Not far away, Qin Jingfeng of Holy Star Tribe and Bai Qinyu of Holy Eye Tribe also understood. He looked at Sun Yuan of the Primordial Wilderness Holy Race with a more cautious gaze. This guy still has a trump card. Qin Jingfeng's eyes flashed with starlight. Lu Dingyu has one too. Yen Hanyu continued, paused, then continued, but there's no need to fight anymore. Piercingly cold astral winds raged. The overwhelming dust mixed with the restless prehistoric force gradually calmed down. In the center of the high firmament balcony, Lu Dingyu, who was dressed in a red dance dress, stood quietly in a pile of rubble that was more than 1,000 feet deep. Senior Sister Tingyu, everyone from Abysmal Sacred Tribe felt their hearts clench. Luo Mengchang, who was sitting next to Chu Hen, was also worried. From afar, one could see that Lu Dingyu's red flower umbrella had been closed. Between her fingers holding the umbrella handle, a stream of blood could be seen slowly dripping down. Lu Dingyu's beautiful face with light makeup was slightly pale. She sighed and shook her head slightly. "I lost." There weren't too many complicated emotions, only slight helplessness and calmness. The crowd burst into an uproar. The audiences in the Abysmal Holy Tribe and the Antiquity Holy Tribe displayed a completely different atmosphere. "You can struggle a little more." Sun Yuan looked down at his opponent with a hint of frivolity between his brows. "There's no need for that." Lu Dingyu lifted her beautiful eyes and stared at Sun Yuan's playful face. "It's not worth it to get hurt just to advance." "Oh!" Sun Yuan pretended to be surprised. "Then, congratulations, Abysmal Holy Tribe." "Stop here. Stop here." The few sarcastic words instantly enraged everyone from Abysmal Holy Tribe. Lu Dingyu's pretty face turned cold and her jade hand that was holding the red umbrella clenched into a fist. She hesitated for a short while but didn't say anything else. Then, she walked out of the arena under everyone's gaze. Round 1. Antiquity Holy Tribes Sin Yuan and Abysmal Holy Tribes Lutingyu announced the end of the round. As the two most popular contestants, no matter who won or lost, the crowd wouldn't be too surprised. Most of them could accept such an outcome. Congratulations! It's a good start. Burning Sky Emperor said to Antiquity Holy Emperor on the 10 Direction Emperor's throne at the peak of the Zen platform in the north. The latter lifted his eyelids but didn't show much emotion. It's just a good start. If nothing goes wrong, Antiquity Holy Tribe should be the first to advance. Abysmal Emperor's successor is still inferior to Antiquity Holy Emperor's disciple. Then, the few great emperors subconsciously glanced at the empty emperor's throne that belonged to Abysmal Emperor. From the outside world's understanding, Lutingyu and Sin Yuan were the most talented people in their respective holy tribe in terms of bloodline power and talent. Both of them were seen as the successors of Abysmal Emperor and Antiquity Holy Emperor. However, Abysmal Emperor had been in a deep sleep for many years. Hence, no matter if it was their mentality or the home advantage, Sin Yuan had the advantage. It wasn't strange that Lutingyu failed. However, Lutingyu's failure also meant that Abysmal Holy Tribe would most likely stop here. On top of that, Sin Yuan's intentional sarcasm made everyone from Abysmal Holy Tribe explode. In the first round, Antiquity Holy Tribe's Sin Yuan takes the first point and becomes the ring master. Shangguan Wuzi announced the result of the competition loudly. He paused for a while and continued, "The competition continues. The challenger can enter the arena directly." Challenger? The contestants below the arena looked at each other. Even Lutingyu had been defeated. Which ordinary Holy Tribe contestant would dare to challenge Sin Yuan? Everyone's gazes were still fixed on Qin Jingfeng, Yan Hanyu, Long Mie, Yu Shinin, and the others. However, none of them seemed to have any intention of going up immediately. All of them were neither arrogant nor impatient, nor did they panic. If no one enters the arena, he will become the dominator and take the first place to advance, Shangguan Wuzi reminded. The crowd below the arena was moving. Still, no one answered. Shangguan Wuzi's gaze swept across the spectators' seats, and he waved his hand. "I announce that Antiquity Holy Tribe's Sin Yuan advances to the next round." A loud and impassioned horn resounded in the sky. In an instant, the crowd below the arena burst into cheers. "Congratulations, Antiquity Holy Tribe! Congratulations, Sin Yuan! Amazing! He's the first man to dominate the second round." There was no doubt that Sin Yuan was very popular. Without a doubt, he wouldn't be able to advance based on the points system after winning the first round. Therefore, Sin Yuan's method of advancement was the Dominator. As the first person to dominate the arena, many people could already see the shadow of becoming the champion from Sin Yuan. The cheers for the Antiquity Holy Tribe rose and fell, and the cheers were endless. Sun Yuan's gaze swept across Qin Jingfeng, Yan Hanyu, Yu Shinin, Long Mie, and the others below the arena. Then, he raised his thick eyebrows and returned to his original position amidst the enthusiastic applause. Lutingyu and Sin Yuan's return to the spectators' seats meant that the second round was about to begin. Whoosh! This time, without waiting for Shangguan Wuzi's announcement, a figure with a piercingly cold aura had already ascended the high firmament balcony. Whoosh! The crowd below the arena couldn't help but be surprised. Antiquity Holy Tribe again? Feeling the overbearing and ferocious Antiquity Holy Tribe's aura on the stage, many contestants frowned. What does the Antiquity Holy Tribe mean? Could it be that they want to monopolize the advancement quota? I reckon that Sin Yuan has already advanced, so the others don't feel the slightest bit of pressure. They're more casual. They're casual, but we're under a lot of pressure. Although the aura of the second young man who ascended the stage was much weaker than Sin Yuan, his aura was also close to the level of a quasi-emperor. He shouted proudly, "Primordial Holy Clan, Gu Quan, requests to fight. Gu Quan. Although this name wasn't known to everyone, the 4 words in front of it were enough to make people feel fearful. Especially since Sun Yuan, who had just dominated the arena and obtained the first advancement quota, was still in the arena and hadn't completely retreated. This directly caused the other contestants to be slightly timid. He counted to 10 in a row. No one went up. This is a little too much. I'm afraid it's better to file his spirit. A disdainful smile appeared at the corner of Yen Hanyu's mouth. However, at this moment, a beautiful and refined figure flew down from an inconspicuous spectator's seat like a spirit butterfly and gracefully appeared on the high firmament balcony. The crowd below the arena couldn't help but have their eyes lit up. Especially the abysmal Holy Tribe side, they were even more surprised. That is, Senior Sister Tingyu, what do you think? The corner of Lu Tingyu's eyes narrowed and there was some surprise between her pink brows. Abysmal Holy Tribe, Luo Menchang, please enlighten me. Chapter 16-17. Holy Abyss Tribe, Luo Menchang, please enlighten me. Hua. Looking at the peerlessly beautiful figure standing on the Lingshao platform, a commotion broke out outside the arena. Abysmal Holy Tribe and Antiquity Holy Tribe again? What's going on? Are these 2 races at loggerheads? Holy Abyss Tribe is indeed a tribe that produces beauties. This person is even prettier than Lu Tingyu. Shut up. However, in terms of appearance, she was indeed superior to Lu Tingyu. In terms of strength, she was definitely far from Lu Tingyu's level. I reckon he wants to save some face for Abysmal Holy Tribe. If he wants to get a place to advance, he won't stand a chance. Luo Mengshang's beauty stunned the crowd. At the same time, they were surprised that the second round was another battle between Holy Tribe of Abysmal and Primitive Holy Tribe. Hee, it seems that Abysmal Holy Tribe isn't convinced. Antiquity Holy Tribe Gu Quan raised his eyebrows. Luo Mengshang's eyes were as clear as water, her lily-white hand grasped the air, and a sheathed divine sword appeared in her palm. It's not that I'm unconvinced, it's just that the other party is too powerful. I don't have the confidence to defeat him. Gu Quan raised his brows. You don't have the confidence to defeat Senior Brother Sun Yuan, so you think you have the confidence to defeat me, right? You can think of it that way, Luo Mengchang replied. Ha 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 ha. Gu Quan laughed wildly. Although I don't like to be called a bully, it seems that I don't have a choice. Let's make our move. I'll let you make the first move. It was the same as the treatment Sun Yuan gave Lu Tingyu. Let them have the first move in the opening. Facing this beautiful woman who he had never heard of before, Gu Quan was extremely confident. Luo Mengshang smiled lightly. Her bright and moving smile was like a pure white pear blossom, attracting people's hearts. However, she shook her head and refused. No need, let's just do it. Seeing how confident Luo Mengchang was, everyone from Abysmal Sacred Tribe was a little confused. Junior Sister Mengshang's cultivation base is only at the heaven-ranked Great Saint King stage, while Gu Quan is already close to the Quasi-Emperor stage. Once they fight, Junior Sister Mengshang will definitely be at a disadvantage. What should we do? Should we stop her? Let's wait and see first. Invisible waves of air moved rhythmically inside and outside the table. A playful smile appeared on Gu Quan's face. You're the one who asked me to come here. Then I'll respectfully accept. Boom! As the ground of the Tiantai cracked open, streams of tyrannical power that were like dragons and pythons poured out of Gu Quan's body. His eyes surged with a lava-like blazing brilliance. Then, Gu Quan's figure moved like a prehistoric ferocious beast that broke through the turbulence of the primordial world, setting off endless extraordinary divine power as he swept towards Luo Mengchang. Menacing. It was extremely sharp. Wherever the ancient spring went, the ground was crushed by the extremely violent primordial force, leaving a groove that was hundreds of meters wide. The powerful blood-colored steam was like a raging flame. It was very violent. Compared to Gu Quan's domineering aura, Luo Mengchang was as delicate as a sheep. From afar, the two of them weren't even on the same level. He's going to die. The difference in strength is too big. Just when countless people thought that Gu Quan wanted to end the battle in an instant, Luo Mengchang raised her sword and a powerful white light was released from her body. Buzz, the holy white cyclone was like a pair of bright wings as it whizzed towards Gu Quan. Whoosh! Swoosh! The white cyclone that looked as soft as gauze was like a ring-shaped wind blade that shuttled all the way down. In the next moment, the primordial domain released by Gu Quan was actually split apart by the ring-shaped cyclone. Even the blood-colored steam that enveloped his body was neatly cut apart. This is? Gu Quan's expression changed slightly. The hearts of the people below the stage were also shocked. However, just as Gu Quan arrived 100 meters in front of Luo Mengchang with the momentum of a thunderbolt, Luo Mengchang's beautiful eyes opened, and a pair of intelligent eyes flickered with a crescent silver light. It was accompanied by an extraordinary temperament. Luo Mengchang drew her sword with her right hand. Whoosh! The moment the sharp sword was unsheathed, a beam of silver-white light stunned the world. Even the sky lost its color as Luo Mengchang swung her sword. A clear whistling sound could be heard as an arc-shaped heavenly light sword chi shot out. Wherever the crescent moon-shaped sword arc went, a neat sword mark was quickly split open on the ground. The speed of the sword light was extremely fast, and in an instant, it arrived in front of Gu Quan. Accompanied by the ferocious primordial domain and the blood-colored steam, it was cut open like tofu. The sword light pierced through Gu Quan's body with the momentum of a rainbow. Hiss! The sound of flesh being cut open was extremely clear. Gu Quan's eyes widened, and his expression suddenly changed. Before Gu Quan could react, a string of blood splattered across the sky. Gu Quan was directly sent flying by a wave of disorderly air waves that burst out wantonly. In an instant, Chen Jingfeng, Yan Hanyu, Sun Yuan, Long Mie, and the others subconsciously raised their eyes, and a trace of surprise flashed in their eyes. Bang! He heavily smashed onto the ground, dragging a trace of dozens of meters on the ground before stopping. At the same time, countless people in the audience also widened their eyes, and their faces were filled with deep disbelief. One sword. It was just one sword. Luo Mengchang had directly won. Everything happened too quickly. Everyone was completely dumbfounded. Wow, big sister Mengchang, good job. Yi Yao couldn't help but clap and cheer from the inconspicuous spectator seats on the west side. That's too amazing. It's so beautiful. Qiao Xiaowan also clapped her hands. Beside her, Long Qingyang, Long Xuanshuang, Qiu Xingyi, and the others were also stunned. Mengchang's cultivation has already reached such a high level? Long Qingyang looked at Chu Hen in shock. Chu Hen only smiled and nodded his head. He did not say much. One must know that Luo Mengchang was the daughter of the Abyss Emperor. Even if the limit of her sacred physique bloodline wasn't as strong as the Abyss Emperor's, it wouldn't be much weaker. In addition, after the trip to the misty sky, Luo Mengchang's strength had increased once again. It was naturally not a problem to deal with Gu Quan. Following that, there was an uproar from the audience. It can't be. What kind of deity is this? It's over just like that? In the blink of an eye. Only Luo Mengchang stood there. Gu Quan from the primitive holy tribe was lying on the ground with a face full of shock. The sword energy had pierced deep into his organs and blood was flowing out. If it wasn't for his cultivation supporting him, he would have died. You! Gu Quan's face was gloomy and he covered his wound with one hand. He had long lost the arrogance he had earlier. Thank you for letting me win. Luo Mengchang replied calmly. Shangguan Wuzi, the peak master of the Spirit House Peak, hesitated for a moment and turned around to look at the 8 great emperors on the emperor's throne platform. Then, he announced loudly, "The Abyss Saint tribe wins this battle." As soon as he said that, the atmosphere in the audience exploded. Especially the Abyss Saint tribe, they suddenly felt that they had vented their anger. Then, Gu Quan was helped off the stage with a face full of unwillingness. Luo Mengchang also took down a city and obtained a point. The meeting continued. Not long after Gu Quan got off the stage, a strong gust of wind suddenly surged up to the high cloud platform. It was a young man who stepped on a green whirlwind. Storm Saint Tribe, Dai Jian, would like to learn from Lady Luo of the Abyss Saint Tribe. Chapter 1618. Luo Mengchang defeated Gu Quan of the primitive sacred clan with a single sword strike, which immediately lit up everyone's eyes. However, Luo Mengchang's body did not have a dominating aura similar to Xin Yuan's. It was precisely because no one had ever heard of the name Luo Mengchang, nor did they know that there was such a person in the Nine Nether Sacred Clan. Therefore, subconsciously, Luo Mengchang was far from reaching the level of shocking the entire audience. Even if she defeated Gu Quan with a single sword strike, it was not enough to make people fearful. Many people even thought that Luo Mengchang's victory with a single sword strike contained a lot of luck. Soon, Luo Mengchang, as the arena defender, welcomed the challenge of her first opponent. It was a genius from the Storm Sacred Clan. However, the challenger from the Storm Sacred Clan had obviously underestimated Luo Mengchang's strength. In less than 20 exchanges, a shocking sword light that was like a rainbow piercing through the sun pierced through a raging tornado with the might of a myriad of annihilations. The sword was like a long river, and the momentum was like a great path. Bang! Under countless gazes that were filled with astonishment, the tornado that overturned the heavens and the earth was directly split apart by the swift and extraordinary sword force. Along with the fierce hurricane and chaotic cyclone that swept in all directions, a young figure stepped on a green cyclone and flew out. He staggered and stumbled back quickly, almost falling to the ground. "Thank you, Ms. Luo, for showing mercy. I've lost," the young man from the Storm Sacred Clan said with a desolate expression. High up in the sky, Luo Mengchang was holding a frost-white fluorescent jade sword in her hand, and a pair of dreamy white wings were hovering around her. She looked ethereal like a gauze, just like an otherworldly fairy. "Thank you for letting me win," Luo Mengchang replied softly. "Wow. Dai Jian has also lost. Is she really that strong?" "Yes, she has some tricks up her sleeves. I wonder if she still has any trump cards? But why have I never heard of this person before?" Although the Storm Sacred Clan could not compare to the 10 strongest sacred clans, their strength was not any weaker than the Darkness Sacred Clan, the Light Sacred Clan, and the other top clans. Dai Jian's strength was naturally unquestionable. He did not expect to be defeated by Luo Mengchang in less than 30 moves. This made people re-evaluate Luo Mengchang. "The winner is the 9 Nether Holy Tribe," Shangguan Wuzi announced. Luo Mengchang won another round and gained 2 points. Despite winning 2 matches in a row, Luo Mengchang was still unable to dominate the competition zone. In addition, the other contestants were also wondering if their opponents had already used up all their trump cards, or if they hadn't reserved any strength from the start. Moreover, as long as he defeated Luo Mengchang, he would be able to obtain her points. As a result, more and more people began to target Luo Mengchang. "I'm Lu Fei of the Rock Crystal Saint Tribe. Please enlighten me." Soon, Shangguan Wuzi announced again. "Winner, Holy Abyss Tribe, Luo Mengchang. Congratulations to her for getting 3 points." One battle after another took place on the platform of heaven. One by one, the sacred race geniuses set their eyes on the points in Luo Mengchang's hand. "New Moon Sacred Clan, Lai Tao, please enlighten me." Winner, Holy Abyss Tribe, Luo Mengchang. Congratulations on obtaining 4 points. Battle after battle. Battle after battle. As time passed, Luo Mengchang continued to shine brightly on the Sacred Race Tournament. "Sister Mengchang is so strong. At this rate, she's going to advance," Yi Yao exclaimed from outside the arena. "If we win this match, we'll be able to accumulate 5 points, Long Qingyang said with a slightly moved expression. After winning 4 matches in a row, finally, Another opponent from the 10 strongest sacred race became Luo Mengchang's challenger. Her opponent was a top genius of the dragon blood sacred race. Looking from afar, on the battlefield, a series of sparks and fire rained down. Luo Mengchang's opponent had directly transformed into a dragon. His entire body was covered with dark and cold scales, and his limbs had all turned into sharp dragon claws. With the speed boost from the dragon wings, he continued to explode with powerful momentum and speed. Zhou Chong can be ranked in the top 3 of the entire Dragon Blood Sacred Race team. He should be able to win, someone commented. Not necessarily. Although Zhou Chong's attacks are fierce, he doesn't have an obvious upper hand. It's hard to say who will win. That's right. I didn't expect the Holy Abyss tribe to have such a powerful person other than looting you. This sacred race tournament is really full of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. In the north, on the majestic Zen Arena Square, on the 10 Emperors platform. If I'm not mistaken, this should be the daughter of the Abyss Heavenly Emperor, right? The one who spoke was the handsome and elegant Star Emperor. Other than the Lightning Emperor, who was sitting on the Emperor's platform, who was slightly surprised, the other 6 great emperors were relatively calm. It was obvious that Luo Mengchang's existence was no longer a secret to them. She has the elegant temperament of the Abyss Emperor, the red-eyed Burning Sky Emperor said faintly. I'm very curious, who is her father? The Antiquity Emperor raised his eyebrows. As soon as he said that, the great emperors looked at each other. Aren't you curious? The Antiquity Emperor asked the Reincarnation Emperor, who was sitting in the middle. The latter was very calm from the beginning to the end, as if he didn't hear the conversation between the great emperors. Of course, he had always been like this. The Reincarnation Emperor ignored him and just stared at the arena in front of him. His abyss-like pupils had a deep meaning that others couldn't detect. Someone who could make the Abyss Emperor give birth to a child shouldn't be an ordinary person, right? The Star Emperor said casually. I'm not sure about that, but it's possible that she's an ordinary person. We've never guessed the Abyss Emperor's thoughts, the Burning Sky Emperor said. Maybe. Whoosh. At the same time, a sword aura that covered the sky suddenly appeared in the sky above the high cloud platform. The countless shadow wings around Luo Mengchang, like the wings of a butterfly, converged on the jade sword in her hand. Suddenly, a mysterious crescent pattern appeared on Luo Mengchang's forehead. She brandished her sword. Hum. The space trembled violently, and the thousands of shadow wings intertwined, forming a huge pointed pillar of sword. The storm gathered, and spiral-shaped chi patterns rapidly rotated around the sword pillar. Boom! An extremely heavy and violent shock swept across the sky. The man from the Dragon Blood Sacred Clan, Zhou Chong, felt as if he was standing under the Aurora meteor. His metallic vertical pupils rapidly contracted, and were instantly filled with panic and fear. Hiss! The devastating sword aura storm howled in all directions, destroying the heavens and the earth. The huge pointed cylindrical sword light was like a divine pillar that could break the sky, and it solidly hit Zhou Chong, who had transformed into a winged dragon. A mighty and terrifying shock wave swept across the sky, and the exploding sword patterns blotted out the sky and the earth. The sword aura, which contained a huge force, forcibly embedded Zhou Chong into the high cloud platform below. Bang! The platform cracked inch by inch, and the ground rapidly caved in. Fragments of dragon scales splashed and exploded, and blood filled the sky. Under the gaze of tens of thousands of people, the terrifying pointed pillar of sword directly nailed Zhou Chong into the depths of the stone platform. Rubble flew into the sky, and the ground cracked open. Rock fragments flew like a swarm of locusts, all the way to the audience outside the arena. Everyone below the stage immediately released their true inner force to defend themselves, but their eyes were filled with deep shock. Whoosh! Looking at Luo Mengchang, who was displaying her peerless elegance on the high cloud platform, everyone finally understood a fact at this moment. Quasi-Emperor realm. These words could clearly be heard from the crowd. Great agitation spread in the hearts of everyone present. Chen Jingfeng, Yan Hanyu, Long Mie, Lu Yuji, Sun Yuan, and the other super geniuses couldn't help but narrow their eyes at this moment. Li Kuan of the Demon Eye Sacred Clan, Lei Kuan of the Thunder Sacred Clan, and the others also had cold eyes, and a trace of solemnity surged between their brows. Even Yu Shinin of the Reincarnation Sacred Clan showed some interest. Grade 8 Holy Abyss Body, piercingly cold, 9 Nether Change. Ling Wu Peak Master Shangguan Wutsa nodded slightly. Winner, Luo Mengchang of the 9 Nether Sacred Clan, accumulated 5 points. 5 points. 5 consecutive wins. Beautiful. Everyone from the 9 Nether Sacred Clan was extremely excited. Sister Mengchang is the best. Yi Yao also shouted joyfully. The cheers from the crowd grew louder and louder. Luo Mengchang's display of peerless elegance had already won her popularity. Amazing! 5 consecutive wins, and even Zhou Chong of the Dragon Blood Sacred Clan was defeated so badly. She has the momentum of dominating the competition zone. Do you guys think that Zhong Qishi, Murong Yao, and Linen met her? It's not her. The person who defeated Zhong Qishi was a man. I saw his back from afar. Although I didn't see his face clearly, I would definitely be able to recognize him if I saw him again. The mysterious person who eliminated Zhong Qishi was still unknown. Now Luo Mengchang had appeared. Everyone couldn't help but feel that the waters of the Sacred Clan Conference were very deep. Luo Mengchang landed back on the platform and turned her beautiful eyes to Chu Hen, a hint of mischievous smugness in her elegant brows. Chu Hen also smiled and gestured for her opponent to choose a truce. After all, she had already obtained 5 points. There was still a high chance that she would advance. Luo Mengchang naturally knew what Chu Hen meant. She had already displayed the strength of a quasi-emperor, and apart from the few contestants who were popular candidates for the championship, there shouldn't be anyone else who would attack her. Just as Luo Mengchang was about to choose a truce, a beautiful woman with eyes like peach blossoms slowly walked down from the spectator seats of the Divine Eye Sacred Clan and onto the high sky platform. Chen Jingfeng, Yan Hanyu, Lu Yuji, Yu Shinin, and the others couldn't help but be stunned. That is? The expressions of Yi Yao, Qiao Shaowan, Long Qingyang, and the others also changed, and they looked at Chu Hen in surprise and panic. Beside them, Chu Hen also frowned, and his handsome face instantly filled with many complicated emotions. Divine Eye Sacred Clan, by Qianyu, please enlighten me. Chapter 1619. Holy Eye Saint Clan, by Qianyu, please enlighten me. A calm and indifferent voice rang out on the high firmament platform. In an instant, everyone in the Holy Clan Conference was stunned. Chen Jingfeng of the Star Saint Clan and Yan Hanyu of the Burning Sky Saint Clan subconsciously looked at each other. They both saw the astonishment in each other's eyes. What is she doing? I don't understand at all. Speaking of which, Chen Jingfeng and Yan Hanyu were old friends with Bai Qianyu. They had known each other for more than 10 years. Although they weren't that close, they had some understanding of each other. With Bai Qianyu's personality, she definitely wouldn't go on stage at this time for no reason. Sister Qianyu? On the other side of the audience where Chu Hen was, Yi Yao, Qiao Shaowan, Long Xuanshuang and the others were also shocked. Everyone looked at each other. One after another, they cast inquiring gazes at Chu Hen. It was really unexpected. Chu Hen couldn't help but clench his fists, his eyes filled with indescribable complex emotions. The scene in front of him was not something he had expected. It was also something he didn't want to see the most. Sister Mengshang and Sister Qianyu, I wonder who Chu Hen's heart will ache more. Qingxue, who was sitting next to Mo Qingli, muttered inappropriately. As soon as she finished speaking, she instantly attracted a murderous gaze from the surrounding people. Qingxue hurriedly shrunk her head, pretending to talk to the little monkey on her shoulder. Ah Tao, you've been shedding again recently. It's flying into my eyes." The little monkey, who had been pushed to the side, stopped chewing on the fruit in his hand, staring blankly with his big round eyes. At this moment, the competition venue had already become a little restless. The two girls on the high firmament platform were like two incomparably beautiful scenery lines, directly attracting everyone's attention. Wow! Miss Bai Qianyu actually chose to go on stage at this time? What's going on? Could there be some grudge between the two of them? Probably not. They're just trying to get points to advance. I don't know, but it feels a little weird. Everyone could more or less feel that the atmosphere in the arena was a little unusual. But as for what was wrong, no one was able to tell. However, one had to admit that Luo Mengchang and Bai Qianyu's beauty had already intoxicated countless people. Whether it was in terms of appearance or temperament, the two women each had their own merits, neither giving way to the other. Luo Mengchang was elegant and refined. Bai Qianyu's eyes were as beautiful as peach blossoms. For a time, everyone couldn't help but be at a loss as to which side to support. Looking at Bai Qianyu standing in front of her, Luo Mengchang was a little astonished. She stared at Bai Qianyu's beautiful face in a daze. "Don't get distracted, you'll get yourself killed," Bai Qianyu said in a flirtatious tone. Luo Mengchang looked up slightly and smiled lightly. "I didn't expect you to look for me, sister." "Sister?" The corner of Bai Qianyu's mouth curled up, a teasing glint in his beautiful peach blossom eyes. "You're calling me that intimately. Do I know you that well?" Being rebuked by Bai Qianyu, Luo Mengchang was not angry, especially since the woman in front of her had stolen her man. It was reasonable to say that when two people met, even if they were not jealous, they would still feel repulse. However, Bai Qianyu's beauty and temperament made Luo Mengchang feel a little amazed, and even a little unable to hate her. "If you don't want to fight me, then let's call a truce," Bai Qianyu said coldly. Call a truce. This was the best choice. It was also the choice that Chu Hen and the others wanted to see the most. Luo Mengchang had won 5 matches in a row and had 5 points in her hands. There was still some chance that she would advance, so there was indeed no need to fight Bai Qianyu. However, without any hesitation, Luo Mengchang opened her red lips and said, "I'd really like to spar with you." As soon as this statement came out, the other spectators did not seem to feel anything, but Chu Hen was suddenly stunned. "Sister Mengchang, she's..." Yi Yao was puzzled. The battle between women may seem calm, but in fact it's turbulent. It's too scary. Qiao Xiaowan's wise words once again attracted several murderous gazes. A particularly strong invisible spatial rhythm overlapped on the Lingshao rooftop. A piercingly cold airflow spread out, and the wind rose into the sky. Looking at this scene, Chu Hen's heart could be said to be filled with mixed feelings. He desperately wanted to step forward to stop this battle, but there was no reason to do so. After all, in the eyes of the crowd, this was nothing more than a normal, point-based competition. No one knew if Bai Qianyu had ulterior motives, or if it was just for the promotion. "I won't show mercy," Bai Qianyu said coldly. "There's no need for you to show mercy. I will also do my best," Luo Mengchang replied. "That's good." The moment her voice fell, a particularly powerful aura suddenly spilled out from Bai Qianyu's eyes, and together with her beautiful eyes, the eyes that were like autumn waters directly turned into a sacred golden color. In the depths of the golden pupils, 8 black dots immediately emerged and chased each other, emitting an amazing sacred majesty. Wow! 8-star divine eyes! The spectators in the audience could not help but be shocked. Without any probing, Bai Qianyu used the power of the bloodline of the sacred body of the divine eyes right from the start, and from the beginning, she overwhelmed her opponent with her momentum. Accompanied by the distorted and trembling space in all directions, a monstrous scorching aura rose into the sky. In an instant, with Luo Mengchang as the center, giant pillars of golden flames rushed out from all 4 directions. Emperor Flame, Heavenly Soul Fire. The people outside the audience narrowed their eyes again. The group of people in the spectator stands where Chu Hen was also had serious expressions on their faces. It seemed that Bai Qianyu was not playing around. Rumble! The Golden Emperor Flame Heavenly Soul Fire was like a five-clawed dragon that tore through the sky, and the monstrous violent aura caused the sky to change color. Surrounded by the terrifying pillars of fire, Luo Mengchang slightly frowned, but she did not panic. She leaped up with the wind, and the jade sword in her hand danced in the sky. Swoosh! Thousands of dreamy white light vortex patterns were like unpredictable bright shadow wings, surrounding Luo Mengchang inside and outside. Then, with a thought from Bai Qianyu, the dragon-like giant pillar of fire directly swooped down in Luo Mengchang's position. In the process of moving, the giant pillar of fire rotated rapidly, forming a water vortex tornado. The blazing hurricane suddenly attacked the entire high sky terrace competition area, blocking all paths of retreat, leaving Luo Mengchang with no way out. However, the white shadow vortex around Luo Mengchang also became more and more rapid and piercingly cold. Just as the destructive storm-like pillar of fire rushed in front of Luo Mengchang, the latter's eyes flashed with silver light, and a crescent pattern floated between her eyebrows. Then, she raised her sword, and countless ring-shaped condensed sword energy burst in all directions. Shing! The loud and clear sound of the sword surged through the sky. There seemed to be a divine ring of stars sweeping between heaven and earth. The swift, fierce, and peerlessly sharp sword moves came one after another, and they were like curved blades embedded in a storm as they completely shattered the golden pillar of fire that was charging down from the sky. The majestic pillar of fire was broken bit by bit, like a dragon python that had been cut into pieces. The unrestrained hurricane filled the heaven and earth, and immediately spread out along the platform. Looking at this scene, the audience was once again amazed by Luo Mengchang. What a strong power! Miss Bai Qianyu may not be able to win against her. Yes, I think so too. Quasi-Emperor Realm Cultivation coupled with a level 8 Saint Body of the Abyss, she already has the strength to compete for the championship. Everyone's understanding of Bai Qianyu was still relatively vague. What level her cultivation had reached, even Chen Jingfeng and Yan Hanyu, these two people, were not necessarily clear. Moreover, Luo Mengchang's strength was obvious to everyone. As the attacker, whether Bai Qianyu could defeat her was still unknown. Be careful, sister. Luo Mengchang's aura surged, and the crescent pattern between her eyebrows flashed brightly like colored glaze. In an instant, the wind blew, the clouds surged, and the sky changed color. The netherworld chi filled the sky, and the sky instantly fell into darkness. Day and night immediately changed. The stars moved, the cold wind raged, and the dim space immediately turned into the netherworld domain. Even the scorching sun in the sky directly turned into a bright crescent moon. This is? The sudden change in the domain shocked everyone present. Even Chen Jingfeng, Yan Hanyu, Sun Yuan, Yu Shinin, and the other super monsters could not help but look surprised. Chapter 1620. The hearts of everyone present changed slightly when they sensed the extreme yin qi that filled the heavens and earth. In an instant, day and night were exchanged, and in the blink of an eye, the entire high sky terrace turned into a land of 9 underworlds filled with yin energy. What was different from Lu Tingyu was that in the sky above the 9 underworlds realm created by Luo Mengchang, there was an additional bright crescent moon. Looking at the crescent moon, everyone's expression changed slightly. The super-monstrous geniuses of the aristocratic families and sacred clans were also a bit surprised. It's the upper 9 underworld's bloodline limit. Yan Hanyu of the Burning Sky Saint Clan said in a low voice as he narrowed his eyes. Chen Jingfeng of the Star Saint Clan was also surprised. With the cultivation base of a quasi-emperor and the 9 underworld's saint body, Luo Mengchang had once again refreshed the upper limit of her strength. As Bai Qianyu supporters, they were more or less worried. What's the upper 9 underworlds? What's the difference between it and Lu Tingyu's 9 underworlds saint body? At the same time, many people in the spectator stands were also puzzled. To put it simply, the 9 underworlds saint body is actually divided into 2 types. One is the upper 9 underworlds and the other is the lower 9 underworlds. The latter is also known as the nether, and the former is the heavenly nether. The lower 9 underworlds controls the power of all things, while the upper 9 underworlds controls the Een energy, the moon, and everything in the world. What's the difference? Which is stronger and which is weaker? The source of power is different, and each has its own merit. It's hard to say which is stronger and which is weaker. However, in terms of the tightness of the 9 underworlds realm, the heavenly nether is slightly better. Look at the crescent moon in the sky, it's the source of power for the heavenly nether. Wherever the moonlight goes, the world is Een, and it's the 9 underworlds realm. Wherever the moonlight goes, it's the 9 underworlds realm. The short explanation immediately made the people who did not know much about the 9 underworlds saint body's bloodline understand. Swoosh. At the same time, the high sky terrace that was enveloped by the endless 9 underworlds chi had already turned into a netherworld territory. The frost-white jade sword in Luo Mingshang's hand shone with dazzling starlight. The swirling shadow cyclones were like divine wings dancing in the sky. She looked down at Bai Qianyu, who was calm and composed with golden eyes. Her red lips parted slightly. The wind-flower snow-moon sword, whoosh! Along with an extraordinary and powerful sword aura, Luo Mingchang's figure flashed, dragging along thousands of sword shadows as she attacked Bai Qianyu. Bai Qianyu's divine eyes narrowed slightly. The rapid airflow and strong wind affected her skirt and long hair. An astonishing sword aura pressed down like a hurricane. In the process of moving, Luo Mingshang's figure separated like a phantom. The next moment, along with the strange rhythm of space, more than a dozen of Luo Mingshang's doppelgangers suddenly appeared around Bai Qianyu. Every clone was almost transparent. The clones were in different postures, as if they were dancing with swords. At this moment, countless people were stunned by Luo Mingshang's peerless beauty. What a powerful sword move! Yes, I can't find any flaws. It was also the bloodline limit of the 9 nether saint physique. If Lu Tingyu could be said to have given people an impassioned and murderous mood of a chaotic army, then Lu Tingyu could be said to have given people an impression of a golden spear and armored horse. Then what Luo Mingshang presented was a graceful and elegant dance of heaven and earth. The wind-flower snow-moon sword dance. It showed the beauty of sharpness. However, facing Luo Mingshang's flawless sword move, Bai Qianyu still did not panic at all. Just as the sword aura from all directions was about to press down on him, Bai Qianyu's beautiful eyes slightly raised. Her eyes glowed with the majesty of a divine emperor, and an extremely powerful and terrifying rhythm burst out. Buzz, a beam of dazzling golden light abruptly tore through the air as a gust of cold wind whistled through the air. The beam of light quickly paused as a gap was torn open in the air, and then immediately changed its trajectory. In an instant, 5 consecutive auroras tore through the air, and the beam of golden light directly interwove into a beautiful pentagram array pattern in the air in front of Bai Qianyu. A pentagram pattern. Every edge was a tear in the space. Sacred and resplendent. It was like a secret array created by an ancient god. 8-star divine eyes, an unparalleled magnificent aura leaked out of Bai Qianyu's body, and along with the cracked ground, the pentagram pattern erupted with thousands of divine rays, expanding in all directions. Boom! Bang! Beams of golden light tore through the space in all directions of the high sky platform, and the pentagram pattern summoned by the 8-star divine eyes released an extremely terrifying power rhythm. Although there was a powerful, energy-dispelling array, the incomparably sturdy platform rapidly caved inwards, and a particularly clear and huge pentagram indent appeared. Hot air waves covered the sky and the earth. Under the attack of the golden light, the sword clones created by Luo Mingshang were all smashed into pieces. However, Luo Mingshang's body rushed in front of Bai Qianyu with a crushing force. Countless shadow wings intertwined with the sword pillar, like the great way of the Milky Way, and slashed down diagonally. Bang! An incomparably heavy and deafening explosion sounded, and the earth-shattering sword with the momentum of the Great Way hit the pentagram pattern. Bang! A violent shock wave suddenly swept across the sky above the high sky platform, and the biting cold sword shadow mixed with dazzling light crushed the audience. Heaven and earth shook endlessly. The mighty aftershocks stuck to the platform, surging all the way to the audience on the surrounding giant peak. The huge power of the attack directly overturned the platform where Bai Qianyu was. The hearts of the people in the audience were stretched taut. Especially Chu Hen, who was below the stage. His heart was filled with all kinds of indescribable complex emotions. Miss Bai Qianyu is a little weak, someone in the crowd said. It looks like she is indeed being suppressed a little, but she shouldn't be defeated so easily. Yes, I am still more optimistic about Miss Bai Qianyu. After all, she is the White Emperor's daughter. The powerful aura of the rotating shadow wings continuously battered against the pentagram. Under the increasingly solemn gazes of the audience, the radiance of the pentagram pattern quickly dimmed, and it shook and twisted violently, showing signs of collapsing at any time. Suddenly, at this moment, under the pentagram pattern, there was another shocking wave of energy in Bai Qianyu's position. Buzz! The dimmed pentagram actually shone with extraordinary splendor once again, and a dazzling radiance flowed out from it. The crisscrossing golden spirit inscriptions quickly swam inside the radiant star, and immediately changed and intertwined into thousands and thousands of ancient runes. What's that? The eyes of the audience lit up once again. 8-star divine eyes, scepter of Migres. Buzz. The divine and luxurious pentagram was like a heavenly wheel, slowly rotating, and the space within it slowly opened up. A phantom guard that glowed with a pure and holy aura was summoned from within. The phantom guard was clad in a brilliant golden armor, and there were 6 pairs of snow-white wings on its back. And in its hand there was also an ancient scepter. On the scepter, there were complex and exquisite runes and a pair of golden divine eyes engraved on it. Buzz! An invisible, dignified aura spread across the sky. The shadow of the guardian that was summoned from the radiant star array gave people the feeling that it was the legendary guardian of the divine temple. Whoosh! In an instant, the 6 wings on the back of the divine guard spread out, releasing a majestic, earth-shattering force. Then, it raised its hand and waved the god-eye scepter in its hand. A circle of golden light suddenly swept across the sky, and the condensed circle was extremely fierce, like a circle of waves stacked on the surface of the sea. Boom! Rumble! Under countless shocked gazes, the shadow-wing sword pillar released by Luo Mingshang was directly crushed and exploded. The imposing shadow-wing sword pillar shattered inch by inch, and was instantly shattered by the impact of the golden circle. Bang! The violent shock wave swept in front of Luo Mingshang, and the latter's expression changed slightly. She immediately blocked with the jade sword in her hand. A tremendous force roared out, and a circle of scattered light patterns mixed with broken energy patterns spread out in the sky. Luo Mingshang was directly sent flying back. What an amazing power! Is this the power of an 8-star demonic eye? Everyone was shocked again and again by Bai Qianyu's power. Chen Jingfeng, Yan Hanyu, Sen Yuan, Lu Yuji, and the other super geniuses also raised their eyebrows, and there was a hint of surprise in their eyes. It seems that I worried too much. Lu Yuji of the Samsara Saint clan sneered. The 6-winged divine guard held the divine scepter. Standing on the pentagram, it was like a god who controlled the majesty of an emperor. On the other hand, Bai Qianyu, who was standing at the bottom of the Lingshao terrace, was holy and graceful, exuding a supreme aura. Her devastatingly beautiful face was especially calm, and there was no change in her emotions. It seems that you are going to lose, Bai Qianyu said indifferently. The wind blew, and the sky was filled with frost. Under the shroud of the cold whirlwind, Luo Mingxiang was as light as a swallow, and her figure was like a butterfly. The two women's eyes met, and there was an indescribable complexity in them, but also a hint of unwillingness to admit defeat. Not yet, sister. Luo Mingxiang smiled sweetly, like a white pear flower blooming. Buzz. Luo Mingxiang's body moved slightly, and endless 9 underworld qi surrounded the world. Then, a strong space rhythm that had never been seen before quietly spread in the sky behind Luo Mingxiang. Everyone was shocked, and they subconsciously looked at the void behind Luo Mingxiang. In the next moment, everyone's pupils suddenly shrank. Even the 8 great emperors on the 10 Directions Emperor's throne platform were a little moved. That is? In the dim sky above the Lingshao balcony, at the angle of overlapping with the bright moon, a demonic eye exuding a gloomy aura quietly appeared between heaven and earth. Limitless eye. How can it be? Clang. Everyone below the stage was instantly shocked. Even the people from the Holy Abyss tribe widened their eyes, and their faces were filled with deep disbelief. Limitless eye. It's the limitless eye. Junior sister Mingxiang has also mastered the power of the lower 9 underworld. Shock. Uncontrollable shock. Even Lu Tingyu clenched her fists tightly, and there was unconcealable envy in her eyes. She had both the power of the nether underworld and the nether underworld. Luo Mingxiang's sacred body bloodline actually had the power of the upper 9 underworld and the lower 9 underworld at the same time. Qin Jingfeng, Yan Hanyu, Lei Kuan, Long Mie, and even Yu Shenying and many other supermonsters could not help but squint their eyes. In the Holy Abyss tribe, the only person who mastered the power of the limitless eye and the power of the moon was called the Abyss Emperor. At this moment, everyone could not help but wonder. What was the relationship between Luo Mingxiang and the Abyss Emperor? However, there was not much time for everyone to think. Luo Mingxiang looked down at Bai Qianyu from above. I have already lost to you once. This time, I will not lose again. This was the first time they met. But she had already lost once. Bai Qianyu's soft eyes rippled, and a strange look appeared on her face. Then, an aura that made people's hearts palpitate was released from the demon's eye. The chaotic power of the 9 underworld filled the sky. However, there was a trace of hesitation on Luo Mingxiang's face. After a short pause, the demon's eye, which was glowing with a boundless ferocious aura, suddenly burst out with a deep cold light. Buzz. Along with the rapidly trembling space, a dazzling silver beam of light immediately shot down from the demon's eye. The beam of light that stunned the world was comparable to a peerless ray of light that pierced through the void. The powerful light whirled and whistled in all directions. The limitless eye, the 9 underworld death ray. Bang! A heavy and violent explosion reverberated in the sky. The beam of 9 underworld death ray directly pierced through the 6-winged deity position that was holding the God Eye scepter. The terrifying power could not be blocked at all. At the same time that the 6-winged God Eye guard's body was instantly minced, the 9 underworld death ray once again pierced through the luxurious and resplendent pentagram. Thousands of dazzling lights exploded. Countless cyclones rose to the sky. The piercingly cold and rapid cyclones all rushed toward Bai Qianyu, and the cold murderous aura was like a hurricane that could shatter space. Bai Qianyu was instantly trapped in the turbulence of the storm. Not good. Miss Bai Qianyu is going to lose. The 9 underworld death ray is too strong. Not many people can withstand it. Countless people's hearts were in their throats. Outside the arena, Chu Hen's handsome brows were also tightly knitted, and there was still uneasiness on his face. In the face of the 9 underworld death ray that whistled all the way and showed the power to destroy the world, Bai Qianyu's bright golden eyes quickly shrank. Boom! In the next second, the earth split open, and violent, raging waves of air surged into the sky. The high sky terrace quickly caved in and exploded, along with hundreds of millions of gravel flying into the sky. The beam of 9 underworld death ray directly penetrated the whole high sky terrace. On the huge terrace suspended in the air, the aurora penetrated the surface of the platform, and forcibly penetrated the bottom of the rock wall that was more than 1,000 feet high. Along with the layers of rock walls of the mountain valley below were also penetrated. In an instant, everyone's pupils shrank, and their hearts almost stopped beating. Especially Chu-Hen. His face couldn't help but turn pale, and he couldn't help but clench his fists so tightly that his knuckles were faintly white. Long Xuan, who was next to him, couldn't help but sigh softly. She knew how anxious and struggling Chu-Hen was. Regardless of whether it was Luo Mengchang or Bai Qianyu, he didn't want to see any of them get hurt. Who would win and who would lose? Who would win and who would lose? None of these were what Chu-Hen wanted to see. The terrifying impact was like a storm that could shake the sky, and it instantly drowned Bai Qianyu in it. Everyone frowned, and pairs of eyes stared at the area of the platform that was almost penetrated. On the side of the holy tribe, everyone was excited. If they defeated Bai Qianyu, Luo Mengchang would definitely be able to advance to the next round. The cyclone filled the 9 heavens, and the sky darkened. Luo Mengchang held the jade sword in her hand, and her beautiful eyes stared below. However, at that moment, a strong space rhythm was transmitted from behind Luo Mengchang. "Looks like you've lost," a faint voice rang in Luo Mengchang's ears. At the same time, the crowd was also astonished. Before they could react, the space behind Luo Mengchang showed a dreamy distortion. It was like a whirlpool, and it was unpredictable. "What is that?" Bang! Without any time to react, a golden, scorching storm spread in the void, and the boundless impact was like a mountain torrent. Luo Mengchang's body trembled, and she was sent flying. The frenzied golden storm was like a nebula whirlpool, and Luo Mengchang's aura was instantly suppressed. She immediately fell to the ground, and she tried to stabilize her body. However, in merely the next instant, a beautiful figure that emanated a divine and graceful aura once again flashed and appeared behind Luo Mengchang like a phantom. Suddenly, Luo Mengchang seemed to be imprisoned, and she could clearly feel a pair of mysterious golden eyes staring at her back. Outside the arena, at the corner of an inconspicuous giant peak, a figure in a black robe was watching what was happening on the platform from afar. The black robe covered her figure and most of her face, but from the lock of hair on her cheek and the fair skin on her neck, one could tell that she was a woman. She raised the corner of her lips and mumbled to herself, "Looks like sister has won." Chapter 16:21. In 1 second. Remember, there was no pop-up window for free reading. Whoosh! A chaotic wave of air spread out from the Tower of the Clouds. In an instant, the entire Sacred Clan conference fell into a deathly silence. The scene kept changing, causing the audience to be unable to react. Most people were still shocked by the fact that Luo Mengchang could control both the upper and lower abyss powers at the same time. The outcome of the match seemed to have changed drastically. Bang! It was as if space was collapsing and shattering. The bright moon and the eye of the all-seeing eye in the sky turned into ice shards that filled the sky like a mirror. Immediately afterwards, the entire gloomy netherworld domain was torn apart by countless brilliant rays of light. The cold darkness quickly retreated. The bright light once again dominated the world. Everyone's hearts tightened. They could only see that on the Tower of the Clouds, which had gradually calmed down, Luo Mengchang gripped her frost jade sword tightly. Her clear eyes were filled with helplessness. "You lost." Bai Qianyu's expression was indifferent. His golden eyes glowed with a holy aura. It was like an invisible seal that controlled the entire arena. The audience, who had gradually recovered from their shock, were in an uproar. "He's not injured at all? Unbelievable!" Looking from afar, Bai Qianyu was unharmed. Even his aura was stable. The power of Luo Mengchang's attack was obvious to all. The Eye of Omniscience 9 Hell Death Ray had even pierced through the Tower of the Clouds, which was protected by the energy dissipation formation. Bai Qianyu, who had thought that he had lost, had turned the tables in an instant. He had even won the match and scathed under the attack of the 9 Hell Death Ray. This is really unexpected. On the Samsara Holy Clan side, Yu Shinin crossed his arms and raised his eyebrows. Beside him, Lu Yuji's expression was frosty. Her eyes flashed with coldness. Chen Jingfeng of the Star Saint Clan and Yen Hanyu of the Burning Sky Saint Clan were no longer at ease. They looked at each other and shook their heads. Is it the power of space? Chen Jingfeng said. Yes. Yen Hanyu confirmed. It's a little stressful. Who isn't? Bai Qianyu's strength had exceeded everyone's expectations. It had even brought a considerable impact to the two pursuers, Chen Jingfeng and Yen Hanyu. No woman would like a man who was weaker than her. At least that was how most people saw it. Looks like I have no choice but to win the championship. Chen Jingfeng muttered to himself. Let's go all out. The opponents are all very strong. Yen Hanyu's gaze was deep and solemn as he unconsciously clenched his fist. Yeah. Big sister, you won again. On the high firmament platform, Luo Mengchang smiled helplessly. Shortly after, she put away the frost jade sword in her hand, and the 9 nether aura that she emitted also retracted. Behind her, Bai Qianyu raised her eyebrows slightly, a complicated expression on her beautiful face. Then, the holy golden light in her eyes gradually faded. Chu Hen, Yi Yao, and Qiao Shaowan couldn't help but heave a sigh of relief when the two of them stopped pestering each other. Fortunately, neither of them was injured. Luo Mengchang slowly turned around and looked at her opponent with her clear eyes. Thank you for showing mercy, big sister. Humph. Bai Qianyu snorted with slight disdain. I told you not to call me so intimately. I'm not that close to you. Luo Mengchang smiled slightly but didn't say anything else. Then, she turned around and walked out of the arena. Without a doubt, Bai Qianyu won this round. The 9 Nether Holy Tribe shook their heads and sighed. The Peak Lord of Spirit House Peak, Shangguan Wuzi, announced, the winner of this battle is Bai Qianyu of the Divine Eye Saint Clan. Due to his success in winning the battle, he will receive 5 points from his opponent, which is 6 points, 6 points. After ending Luo Mengchang's winning streak, Bai Qianyu directly took over her battle points. Everyone in the arena was astonished. 6 points. It shouldn't be a problem for her to advance, right? It should be possible. This is already very high. The people in the later stages wouldn't dare to get so high. But she can totally advance by dominating the competition zone. The points don't matter. Although she had 6 points, there were absolutely not many people who would have any ideas about Bai Qianyu. Therefore, it was very likely that Bai Qianyu would advance by dominating the competition zone. The points she held wouldn't affect the others. 10 Directions Emperor's Throne Stage. She is indeed Emperor Bai's daughter. She has mastered the power of space at such a young age, Great Star Emperor said approvingly. Don't you think she looks like someone? Burning Sky Emperor suddenly said. Who are you talking about? Emperor of Desolation asked. Emperor Bai's daughter. Apart from her eyes, she resembles Emperor Bai in other aspects, Emperor Fun Tian continued. Emperor Bai's daughter. Her. Hearing this, the great emperors couldn't help but squint their eyes. Everyone's face was filled with thought-provoking meaning. 8-star Divine Eyes defeated level 8 Nether Holy Tribe. Bai Qianyu's popularity instantly skyrocketed. She was like a dazzling pearl that attracted the attention of thousands of people. In comparison, Luo Mengchang was more or less a pity. They thought she was the hope of 9 Nether Holy Tribe to advance. Unexpectedly, she didn't continue to amaze. Sister Mengchang doesn't look right. Yi Yao suddenly pointed at Luo Mengchang, who had yet to walk down the Lingshao balcony. Chu Hen, Long Xuanshuang, Long Qingyang and the others were stunned. When they looked over, they saw that Luo Mengchang's face was a little pale. It was obvious that her body was weak. What happened? However, at this moment Luo Mengchang, who had almost reached the edge, suddenly felt her body go limp and she fell down powerlessly. Wow! What's going on? Everyone outside the arena was shocked. Bai Qianyu, who was in the arena, also had her beautiful eyes rippling. Swoosh! Swoosh! Just as Luo Mengchang was about to fall, Chu Hen and another figure shrouded in black suddenly flashed to Luo Mengchang's side. Chu Hen and the black-clothed woman, one on the left and one on the right, respectively took Luo Mengchang into their arms. The two of them looked at each other in surprise. "Aunt Yu!" Chu Hen subconsciously called out. The woman in black did not pay attention to her. She just supported Luo Mengchang and pulled her into her arms. "Go down!" With that, the woman in black took Luo Mengchang and leaped, turning into a shadow and disappeared from the arena. Chu Hen stared blankly for a moment, but didn't think too much about it. He immediately followed closely behind and left. "It's that woman!" Qiao Shaowan exclaimed. Yi Yao, Long Xuan, Han Yichuan and the others were also surprised. Chapter 1622. The sudden interlude caused a small commotion among the crowd. Looking at the woman in black who took Luo Mengchang away, the great emperors on the 10-direction emperor's throne subconsciously exchanged glances. "Is that the Abyss Great Emperor's younger sister, Gu Yu?" The Burning Sky Great Emperor asked uncertainly. "It's her," the Star Emperor replied. "It's said that after the Divine Eye Clan and the Demon Eye Clan changed, Gu Yu disappeared for many years. I didn't expect to see her here today, haha, this year's Sacred Clan Conference is really lively." The other great emperors nodded slightly and fell into deep thought. Everyone seemed to have their own thoughts that were not known to others. On the high firmament platform, looking at Chu Hen, who left with the woman in black, Bai Qianyu's eyes were filled with self-mockery. At this moment, a young figure with a transcendent aura swept onto the stage. Whoosh! A powerful aura spread out in all directions and the space faintly trembled. Even the people from the various sacred clans were shocked. "Who was that?" "I am Lu Yuji from the Samsara Saint clan. Miss Bai Qianyu, please enlighten me." There was a hint of arrogance in her indifferent tone. Chen Jingfeng, Yan Hanyu, Lei Kuan, and the other monstrous geniuses were all stunned. Lu Yuji, one of the 3 giants of the Samsara Saint clan. Even if the other giant, Zhong Qishi, didn't pass the preliminary round, it didn't affect her and Yu Shinin. They originally thought that Bai Qianyu would directly advance to the next round by dominating the crowd, but they didn't expect Lu Yuji to come up at this time. "Is this woman trying to cause trouble?" Yan Hanyu of the Burning Sky Saint clan raised the corner of his mouth and said in a strange tone, "Could she have been provoked?" "That's possible." Chen Jingfeng also smiled with a slightly playful tone. Before the start of the preliminaries, at the East Plaza, Yan Hanyu had directly cursed Lu Yuji, saying that she was far inferior to Bai Qianyu. Apart from that, he really couldn't think of any reason why Lu Yuji didn't like Bai Qianyu. After all, the two of them didn't have any grudges in the past. Lu Yuji raised her cold eyes with provocation in her eyes. Bai Qianyu looked back at the arrogant attitude of the other party and walked straight ahead. Seeing this, Lu Yuji's 5 fingers slightly tightened. The true yuan in her body flowed rapidly and gathered at the center of her palm. However, to everyone's surprise, Bai Qianyu walked right past him and headed towards the holy-eyed Sacred Tribe's spectator seat. What was going on? The crowd was in an uproar. Bai Qianyu's beautiful eyes swept towards the position of the Lord of the Spirit House Peak, Shangguan Wuzi. Then, she calmly said these 2 words. "Cease fire. Truce." Bai Qianyu's choice was somewhat unexpected. As for Lu Yuji, she chose to ignore her the entire time, not even bothering to look at her. Under normal circumstances, truce. From a certain perspective, this was actually a sign of weakness. But when this show of weakness came from Bai Qianyu's mouth, there was an indescribably peerless elegance to it. On the other hand, Lu Yuji's strength was not shown in the slightest. Even his arrogant attitude was starting to crumble. Because everyone had the feeling that Bai Qianyu wasn't afraid of her, He was merely unwilling to make a move. Humph. Lu Yuji sneered. That's a truce? I'm afraid your points aren't enough for you to advance to the next round. So what? Bai Qianyu glanced sideways, still as calm as the water in an ancient well, not even the slightest ripple in the face of Lu Yuji's provocation. Are you afraid? Lu Yuji didn't let it go. If you say so. Bai Qianyu replied one last time, then left the high firmament terrace and returned to the spectator seat. Shangguan Wuzi announced. Holy-eyed sacred tribes Bai Qianyu has stopped fighting. He has earned a total of 6 points. Whether or not one could advance to the next round would depend on the remaining spots after the domination promotion. Therefore, it was still uncertain whether or not Bai Qianyu would advance to the next round. Reincarnation Sacred Tribes Lu Yuji has become the new ring master. The convention continues. In a courtyard on the west side of the Spirit House. This was a place specially used to receive guests and rest. After all, the Holy Clan convention would last for a few days, and as the host, Spirit House Peak had put in a lot of effort. In terms of receiving guests from the various races, it was also well arranged. Inside a courtyard, it was quiet all around. Chu Hen stood alone outside the door. Between his lightly furrowed brows, there was a hint of worry. Creak, at this moment, the door of a guest room opened. Chu Hen immediately turned around and saw a woman in black standing at the door. How is Mengshang? Chu Hen hurriedly asked. The woman in black paused for a while, looking a little solemn. After a while she replied, It's not a big deal. She used the power of heavenly serenity and nether serenity at the same time. She's just a little exhausted. Hearing this, Chu Hen couldn't help but heave a sigh of relief. Can I go in and see her? The other party still hesitated for a while, then slightly moved to the side, opening up a path. Chu Hen raised his handsome eyebrows and hurriedly entered the room. As soon as he entered, he saw Luo Mengshang lying on her side on the bed. How are you? Chu Hen half knelt by the bed, holding Luo Mengshang's hand, and asked with concern. Luo Mengshang's face was still a little pale, but it was obviously much better than before. The corners of her mouth curled up slightly, and she smiled faintly. I'm fine. Don't worry. A trace of guilt surged in Chu Hen's eyes. However, he didn't know what to say. He didn't want to see Luo Mengshang get hurt in any way. He also didn't want the person who hurt her to be Bai Qianyu. Don't blame her, Luo Mengshang said softly. She didn't hurt me, it's because of me. Moreover, she's really outstanding. Chu Hen lowered his head and smiled dryly. The woman in black immediately stepped forward and said, You should go back to the competition venue first. Leave this place to me. Aunt Yu is right, you should go back quickly. Luo Mengshang also persuaded. The Sacred Clan Convention was filled with crouching tigers and hidden dragons, and the 10-clan competition. Any peak competition was worth paying attention to, and one could even analyze the hidden cards and strength of the geniuses of each clan. To Chu Hen, the Sacred Race Convention this time was incomparably special. Luo Mengshang didn't want to see him waste time here. Chu Hen nodded slightly. All right, have a good rest. When the second round of the convention is over, I'll come over. Okay. Luo Mengshang smiled faintly and nodded obediently. Also, you must be careful, don't come back with injuries. I will. Immediately Chu Hen stood up, turned to the woman in black and said, Aunt Yu, I'll leave this place to you. You don't have to worry, just take care of yourself. Due to the attitude of the other party, Chu Hen sniffled slightly awkwardly, then looked back at Luo Mengshang and left the room. After Chu Hen left, Gu Yu went to close the door. Then, she slowly took off her black hat, and her soft long hair slid down her shoulders, revealing a beautiful and cold face. Looking at the other party, Luo Mengshang smiled. I've made Aunt Yu worry again. Gu Yu looked at her slightly pale face with a complicated gaze. How long has it been? Luo Mengshang lowered her eyes slightly and replied softly, It should be a little more than 2 months? What nonsense, it's been so long, and you still dare to participate in the Sacred Clan Convention. Fortunately, it's nothing serious, otherwise you'll regret it. I'm sorry, I was too rash. Sigh. Guyu sighed. Why didn't you tell him? Luo Mingshang shook her head. Before the Sacred Clan Convention, I don't want him to be distracted. And you must keep it a secret. I don't want him to think about me when he's fighting others. Chapter 1623. After leaving the guest courtyard, Chu Hen returned the way he had come. Rumble, before he even arrived at the sky-reaching terrace, Chu Hen gazed at the horrifying black storm that had gathered in the sky. It shook the heavens and the earth, and caused the world to lose its color. An especially majestic aura filled the entire sky. Even though they were separated by a great distance, Chu Hen could still sense the intense spatial fluctuations originating from the competition area. Another battle between the strongest Sacred Clan geniuses? Chu Hen was shocked. Chu Hen could not help but speed up, leaving a trail of afterimages in his wake as he flew into the sky. However, when Chu Hen returned to the soaring firmament platform competition area, the battle seemed to have ended. The arena, which was already in a state of desolation, had sunken and cracked holes everywhere. The chaotic and violent inverse turbulence had yet to completely subside, and there were still wisps of white steam faintly rising from the cracks of the rocks on the ground. The huge competition area fell into silence. Countless people widened their eyes, their faces filled with disbelief. Even Chen Jingfeng, Yan Hanyu, Sen Yuan, Long Mie, and many other super-monstrous geniuses of the strongest sacred clans were shocked, unable to hide the shock in their eyes. What happened? Chu Hen asked Long Qingyang, Yi Yao, and the others as he returned to the spectator seats. They were clearly stunned as well. Even when Chu Hen returned, they did not seem too surprised. 3 moves, he only used 3 moves. Long Qingyang frowned, his words filled with shock. 3 moves. Yes. Mo Nanquan of the Devouring Sacred Clan. Long Qingyang turned to look at Chu Hen and said slowly. He only used 3 moves to defeat Yao Yong of the Great Wilderness Holy Clan. What? When those words were spoken, Chu Hen could not help but narrow the corner of his eyes. He followed everyone's gaze and looked at the soaring firmament platform. On the vast fighting ring that spanned over 2,000 feet, a young man with a dark devouring power surging all over his body stood proudly in the air. Below, there was another young man with a weaker aura inside the collapsed sinkhole. The scattered power of great desolation floated around him, but it was difficult to gather them. Looking at it from afar, the man's face was filled with unwillingness. Streams of blood slid down the tip of his left hand and dripped into the cracks of the stone. The one from the Holy Clan of the Great Wilderness had obviously suffered serious injuries. After the death-like silence, what followed was an uncontrollable restlessness that could shake the heavens. What? My God! Isn't the devouring saint race a little too strong? I thought they were evenly matched. He defeated the quasi-emperor Yao Yong in 3 moves. Just what cultivation has Mo Nanquan reached? Whether it was Yao Yong of the Holy Clan of the Great Wilderness. Moreover, it was Mo Nanquan of the Devouring Saint Clan. They were the top contenders for the championship this year. However, the Devouring Saint race was a very low-profile clan. They rarely interacted with other sacred clans. As a result, the demon-like talents of the Devouring Saint race were much less popular than the other strongest sacred clans. Mo Nanquan. This name was not as famous as Chen Jingfeng, Yan Hanyu, Long Mie, Sen Yuan, and the others. But at this moment, the super-monstrous genius from the Devouring Saint clan had shocked the entire crowd. It's really earth-shattering. It's fine if they don't make a sound, but they amaze the world with a single brilliant feat the Devouring Saint clan has come prepared this year. The people from the various sacred clans were amazed. The demon-like talents from the various clans felt pressured. On the 10 Directions Emperor's throne platform, the Desolation Emperor's face was extremely gloomy. He glanced at the great devouring emperor on his left and said, "Not bad. This is the style of the devouring saint race." The other great emperors looked at each other and smiled. Although the devouring great emperor usually doesn't smile much, he's never messed up during crucial moments. Judging from his performance in the battle just now, the devouring sacred tribe looks like they're going to win. Everyone, please don't make fun of me. With the reincarnation emperor here, the devouring saint race has no right to speak. The great devouring emperor replied calmly. Everyone subconsciously turned to look at the reincarnation emperor, who was sitting in the middle. The Samsara emperor did not have much of a change in his emotions when he saw what had just happened. From the beginning to the end, he was as calm as a statue. One should know. The reincarnation saint race only needed to win the championship to obtain the heavenly emperor token. At this moment, the reincarnation saint race should be more nervous than the other clans. However, from the reincarnation emperor's reaction, he didn't seem to care about what was happening on the battlefield at all. They're all ruthless people. The Desolation Emperor let out a deep breath and calmed himself down. After all, he was a big shot who had seen much of the world. Even if the great Desolation Saint race was stopped in the second round of the Sacred Clan Conference, the Desolation Emperor wouldn't make a big deal out of it. After more than 20 Sacred Clan Conferences, the great emperors had already seen through the result. Only if they lost in the finals would it affect their mood. The devouring saint race's Mo Nanquan wins this round. The peak lord of the spiritual Wu Peak, Shangguan Wutsa, announced. Wow! Uncontrollable cheers rose one after another. The great desolation saint race's sighs of pity were drowned in the applause. Amazing! I didn't expect the devouring saint race to be so strong. This year's Sacred Clan Conference is going to be interesting. Yeah, I guess all the sacred clans have taken out their trump cards to stop the reincarnation saint race from winning. No one said that the great desolation saint race's Yao Yong was weak, but Mo Nanquan was too strong. It only took one battle. Mo Nanquan displayed the appearance of a champion. Hey, big brother Chu Hen, you're back? Yi Yao, Qiao Shaowan, and the others finally realized that Chu Hen had returned to their side. How's big sister Meng Xiang? They looked at Chu Hen and asked. The latter smiled. She's fine. That's good. While you weren't here, someone else advanced. Yi Yao said. Yeah. It's not big sister Qianyu, huh? Chu Hen was taken aback. He looked puzzled and asked, She was eliminated? Not really. Big sister Qianyu stopped fighting, and then the Samsara Saint Race woman won the promotion by dominating. Then it was the Great Desolation Saint Race and the Devouring Saint Race. Hearing Yi Yao's explanation, Chu Hen let out a sigh of relief, and the light in his eyes returned to normal. After Yao Yong from the Great Desolation Saint Race was defeated, Mo Nanquan from the Devouring Saint Race looked down at the contestant's seat. However, after a while, no one went up on stage. Seeing this, Shangguan Wutsa urged, Where's the attacker? The crowd below the stage was moving. Pairs of eyes swept across the other geniuses of the sacred clan. If the attacker goes up, he'll be the third to dominate. Shangguan Wutsa's eyes swept across the crowd, and he waved his arm. I announce that Mo Nanquan from the Devouring Saint Race has advanced. After Sen Yuan and Lu Yuji, Mo Nanquan took the third spot. This meant that there were only 7 spots left out of the 10. The Great Desolation Saint Race and the Great Desolation Saint Race were basically eliminated. Among the 7 spots, there was a slight looseness in comparison. A second after Shangguan Wutsa announced Mo Nanquan's advancement, a young man with an imposing appearance slowly walked up to the high firmament balcony from the audience seats. With every step he took, a circle of scorching aura appeared on the ground. Everyone was shocked. It's him. Mo Nanquan, who was about to leave, stopped instinctively. His eyes narrowed, and there was a hint of coldness in them. Calm. Wonderful Book House. Chapter 1624. Buzz, rings after rings of powerful space rhythm reverberated across the Ling Shao platform. Mo Nan Quan, who was about to leave the arena, subconsciously stopped in his tracks. His eyes darkened slightly as he looked at the newcomer with a profound gaze. This guy finally couldn't sit still anymore. Qin Jingfeng of Holy Star Clan revealed a faint smile. Outside the arena, the commotion from before had become even more restless and restless. What's going on? Are the super geniuses from the strongest sacred clan so tough? It feels like they've entered the finals. But isn't he a little late? Peak Lord Shangguan has already announced the result. What can we do? The geniuses from the strongest sacred clan are so willful. Under many bewildered gazes, the young figure with blazing aura patterns stepped onto the east side of the high firmament platform. He raised his head and revealed a handsome face with a charming smile. Yan Hanyu from the sky-burning Saint Clan. His extraordinarily powerful aura caused a wave of heat to ripple on the platform. Mo Nanquan from the devouring Saint Clan looked at him coldly as fighting intent surged from between his brows. However, there was no fighting intent in Yan Hanyu's eyes as he looked at Mo Nanquan. He raised his hand and said, "The person I'm looking for isn't you, oh." Mo Nanquan raised his eyebrows. The hearts of the people below the stage were also stunned. "You've already advanced, so you can go your own way." As Yan Hanyu spoke, he turned his gaze towards the direction of the Reincarnation Saint Clan. "I'm really sorry. I can't wait any longer." Yan Hanyu raised his hand and pointed at the young figure in the center of the Samsara Saint Clan. He had been calm and aloof like a statue since the beginning. "Yu Shenying," his words were as clear as thunder. "Wow!" The moment he said that, the entire area was in an uproar. He directly chose his opponent. It was the simplest provocation. In an instant, everyone's gazes gathered on Yu Shenying from the Samsara Saint Clan. Xin Yuan, Qin Jingfeng, Lei Kuan, Mo Nan Quan and the other super monstrous geniuses couldn't help but narrow their eyes. Even Chu Hen's eyes faintly flickered with a hint of caution. Yu Shenying, Samsara Saint Clan. Whether it was this name or this race, they were definitely existences that people would pay close attention to. Even though the Samsara Saint Clan had a bad start and Zhong Qishi had been eliminated in the preliminary round, no one dared to look down on them. "I admire his courage." On the Dragon Blood Sacred Clan's side, Long Annihilation's lips curled into a sinister smile. One had to admit that there were too many people who wanted to challenge Yu Shenying. It definitely wasn't just Yan Hanyu. But everyone was more or less a little fearful in their hearts, because he didn't have absolute confidence. As such, they wanted to give it their all during the finals. They even wanted to see Yu Shenying's trump card and see his strength. There was no other reason for this, just because his opponent was Yu Shenying. The atmosphere on the field suddenly became very strange. Like a taut string, it made people nervous, but also made people look forward to it. Would Yu Shenying accept the challenge? Everyone's hearts were in their throats. At this moment, Yu Shenying smiled. The corners of his mouth curled up into an arc. It was a little playful, and a little light. "I've said it before. You don't have the qualifications for me to take you seriously." His words were very frivolous. However, Yu Shenying's eyelids twitched as his momentum paused. An extraordinary, piercingly cold aura rushed towards Yan Hanyu's high firmament balcony like a formless hurricane wave. Then, Yu Shenying slowly stood up. His slender but not burly figure gave off a mountain-like pressure. "I am willing to serve you, sir." Buzz, the moment the word serve was uttered, a cold wind blew, and the airwaves trembled. Everyone only saw a shadow flash before their eyes. On the high firmament balcony, an extraordinary figure suddenly appeared. Wow! So fast! Everyone's heart suddenly trembled. It was as if he had teleported in a flash. In less than half a breath's time, Yu Shenying had directly swept onto the stage like a phantom. It was just the way he made his entrance. Stunned everyone. Countless people's minds were shaken. This guy is a little difficult. Chen Jingfeng of the Star Sacred Clan looked serious. Even though he and Yan Hanyu were love rivals, they were also friends. From a certain point of view, Chen Jingfeng was willing to stand on Yan Hanyu's side. However, the aura that erupted from Yu Shinin's body made him feel uneasy. I finally have the chance to see your strength, Yu Shinin. In the Thunder Sacred Clan's team, Lei Kuan's eyes also flashed with lightning. It was obvious that the Samsara Sacred Clan wasn't just one person's target. Even Lu Tingyu, Yao Yong, and the other monstrous geniuses who had already been eliminated, felt an indescribable sense of anticipation. The devouring Sacred Clan's Mo Nanchuan's cold gaze softened. Then, he left the high firmament balcony and returned to his previous position. It had to be said that Yan Hanyu and Yu Shinin's appearance had weakened the shock that Mo Nanquan had given everyone. After all, the Samsara Sacred Clan had already won 9 times. This clan had the most explosive popularity in the human territory. Whoosh! The piercingly cold wind formed a chaotic cyclone storm between the two of them. Yan Hanyu's eyes burned with 2 balls of scorching flames. Let me see your true strength, Yu Shinin. Compared to Yan Hanyu's solemn expression, Yu Shinin's was clearly much lighter. Hurry up. I don't like to drag things out for too long, as you wish. The moment his deep voice rang out, the 2 balls of flames in Yan Hanyu's eyes exploded. With a boom, a torrential wave of flames rose into the sky. Scalding waves of heat instantly filled the sky. Yan Hanyu's aura rose as he clasped his hands together. Then, he opened his mouth and spat out a powerful hurricane. Divine flames incinerate the sea, buzz. The especially terrifying waves of heat caused the entire high sky arena to burn and distort. Fierce and rapid hurricanes howled, and countless majestic pillars of fire revolved around each other like tornadoes, all the way towards Hidden Universe God. They were different from ordinary flames. Yan Hanyu's pillars of fire were actually a mixture of many colors, giving off the feeling that they were multicolored divine rainbows. This is World Annihilation Divine Punishment Flames, someone cried out from the crowd. This is a type of flame that has the power to incinerate everything in the world. It can be said to be the most tyrannical flame. Yes, in terms of flame power, Burning Heaven is the strongest among the 10 sacred clans. There was no doubt that no one in the world could compare to the Burning Heaven Sacred Clan in terms of control over the power of fire. Even the Demon Eye Sacred Clan's Blazing Desolation Sacred Demon Flame and the Divine Eye Sacred Clan's Emperor Flame Heavenly Soul Flame were weaker than the Burning Heaven Sacred Clan's World Annihilation Divine Punishment Flames. In the blink of an eye, the torrential pillars of fire charged over like a ferocious beast. The blazing waves of air slammed into Yu Shinin's body. The latter raised his cold eyes and his heart trembled. Hiss, in the next second, an unparalleled wave of heat rose into the sky. Terrifying, majestic pillars of fire slammed into the black light screen in front of Yu Shinin. The strange light screen was suffused with ripples of light. It was like a distorted water ripple. The shield of Samsara. Someone blurted out from below the stage. Is it the shield of Samsara that can reflect all attacks? Before the person below could finish speaking, the rippling light screen vibrated with a powerful rhythm. Following that, the pillar of fire that was charging towards him actually bounced back the way it came. Like a giant python returning to its nest, it attacked Yan Hanyu. Humph! The corner of Yan Hanyu's mouth drew back, revealing a cold smile. Don't underestimate your enemy. Be careful or you'll lose miserably. Finishing his words, Yan Hanyu charged towards the terrifying fire pillar that was surging towards him. As he moved, the World Annihilation Divine Punishment flames gathered and rotated around Yan Hanyu's body. Countless ring-shaped flames rapidly merged with Yan Hanyu's surroundings and enveloped him. Hiss, the heavy and huge forces collided head-on, and suddenly, The heat wave rushed straight into the sky, like an uncontrollable mountain torrent and tsunami erupting on the Lingshao platform. The platform was rapidly cut and exploded, and the dense cracks all extended to the edge of the platform. Roar! Suddenly, just as everyone felt the violent waves of heat rushing towards them, a beast's roar resounded through the sky. Within the monstrous flames, a giant flaming beast over 1,000 meters tall appeared in everyone's field of vision. The giant beast was like a wolf or a tiger, sinister and terrifying. Its entire body was burning with multicolored divine flames. Its sharp claws furiously swung down. Bang! A violent explosion rang out, and the shield of Samsara shook violently. Under the pressure of the enormous force, it shattered like a mirror and exploded on the battlefield. Chapter 16:25. The world-destroying godly punishment flame could burn everything in the world. Even though the high firmament balcony had an extremely functional energy-dispelling array, everyone could still feel the domineering aura of the burning sky. Looking at the flames that were constantly changing colors, ordinary people would be instantly vaporized if they came into contact with it. Not even ashes would be left behind. Bang! A heavy and violent explosion erupted on the stage. The enormous flaming beast transformed from Yen Hanyu's claw descended, and with a terrifying force, it smashed into the shield of Samsara, forcibly breaking through the surface of the shield of Samsara. Domineering! Feeling the powerful waves of heat sweeping in all directions, everyone below the stage narrowed their eyes. As expected of the most offensive power, the limit of the burning sky Saint Clan's bloodline is really terrifying. Yen Hanyu has the appearance of a champion. Don't speak too early. In my opinion, Yu Shenying is the real king. That's right. We can't see through this person at all. Moreover, the strength of Yu Shenying's bloodline is said to have reached the same level as the reincarnation emperor at his age. In my opinion, only Mo Nanquan of the devouring Saint Clan can compete with him. The others might not be able to. Not necessarily. Chun Jingfeng of the Star Sacred Clan, Long Mie of the Dragon Blood Sacred Clan, and Lei Kun of the Thunder Sacred Clan haven't gone up yet. No one knows what their true cultivation level is. Xin Yuan of the Chaos Sacred Clan and Miss, Bai Qianyu of the Holy-Eyed Sacred Clan haven't used their full strength either. Moreover, don't forget that there's a super dark horse hidden in the crowd below the stage, who can easily defeat Zhong Qishi. It was only the second round of the Sacred Clan Conference, but everyone could already feel the depth of the Sacred Clan Conference. The scenes that they thought would only be seen in the finals were played out one after another. From the Abyss Sacred Clan against the Chaos Sacred Clan. Then, the Great Wilderness Sacred Clan against the Devouring Sacred Clan. And now, the Burning Sky Saint Clan provoking the Reincarnation Sacred Clan. The super monstrous geniuses of the strongest sacred clans couldn't wait any longer. Roar! The razor-sharp lightning claw shattered the Samsara shield before Yu Shenying, and a terrifying wave of heat swept towards Yu Shenying. The platform beneath him was instantly turned red from the heat. However, Yu Shenying's expression did not change at all. He spread his fingers, and an astonishing power fluctuation spread out from his fingertip. Underworld Dao, Ghost Horned Edge. Boom! The moment his voice rang out, the ground on both sides of Yu Shenying exploded. Peerlessly sharp spikes pierced through the ground on both sides and soared into the sky. The huge spikes were curved, and from afar, they looked like the ribs of a giant. The ice-cold, arc-shaped bone spikes flickered with a strange, dark, black flame. Under countless shocked gazes, the two giant spikes that rose from both sides were like the fangs of a man-eating flower as they pierced into the enormous body of the flame beast that Yen Hanyu had transformed into. Whoosh! Hiss! The incomparably sharp aura was unstoppable, and the flame beast's body was firmly confined in the center by the spikes. Then, Yu Shenying slowly raised his left palm. Buzz! Countless dark-colored rings of light quickly gathered at the center of his palm. A ball of extremely dense energy glowed, distorting the surrounding space. Human Tao, flashing blade. Whoosh! As the air was sliced apart, a black, sharp, cone-shaped beam of light shot out like an aurora. Everyone only saw a flash of light, and with a boom, a heavy, earth-shattering explosion rang out in the sky. The cone-shaped beam of light pierced through the flame beast's head. The mighty shock waves instantly split the sky. The surging, scorching light waves were like the exploding sun. Scorching waves and fireballs of all sizes swept across the sky. They flew everywhere, dancing chaotically in the sky. In an instant, the entire high firmament terrace was turned into a sea of fire. Everyone's expressions changed again, and their hearts were filled with shock. The monstrous geniuses of the various sacred clans all frowned. The arrogant young figure standing in the sky of flames was so powerful that it made them feel uneasy. It doesn't feel like they're on the same level. In Chu Hen's spectator stand, Yi Yao, Long Qingyang, Long Xuanshuang, and the others were also shocked. Without a doubt, Yan Hanyu was very powerful. The world-destroying godly punishment flame was the world's most domineering deviant flame. No one would refute that. Yan Hanyu had unleashed his most ferocious attack since the beginning. But even so, Yu Shenying of the Samsara sacred clan was frighteningly calm from start to finish. With a flip of his hand, he could release an extremely powerful killing move. This person is very powerful. Chu Hen's eyes narrowed as he exclaimed in surprise. Li Wuxiang nodded. This kid's talent is the highest among the 10 clans. The highest among the 10 clans. This was Li Wuxiang's evaluation of Yu Shenying. This was enough to show his recognition of him. What are the main characteristics of the bloodline limit of the sacred samsara body? Chu Hen asked with a slightly serious tone. The 10 strongest sacred clans all had different bloodline powers, and each had their own merit. For example, the demon eye and god eye focused on eye technique. The primordial sacred body focused on explosive power. Although Chu Hen had come into contact with Zhong Qishi in the preliminaries, he still didn't know much about the samsara sacred body. The power of the 6 paths. Li Wuxiang replied solemnly. The power of the 6 paths? Chu Hen raised his brows. Human Tao, Beast Tao, Asura Tao, Nether Tao, Hell Tao, and Heavenly Tao. Li Wuxiang explained one by one. These 6 paths are the source of the samsara sacred body's power. Among them, Human Tao was the easiest to cultivate. Beast Tao could control beast power. Asura Tao could kill. Nether Tao could communicate. Hell Tao could create domains. And the most difficult was Heavenly Tao. Those who could see through Heavenly Tao could transcend reincarnation and rule the world. Hearing Li Wuxiang's explanation, Chu Hen couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. See through Heavenly Tao and transcend reincarnation. What kind of realm was this? Then how do you determine the strength of the samsara sacred body's bloodline power? Chu Hen continued to ask. The samsara tribulation. Li Wuxiang answered. It's different from other sacred body bloodlines. The samsara sacred body needs to go through the samsara tribulation before it can evolve. If it succeeds, its cultivation will increase greatly. If it fails, it will be destroyed. After a pause, Li Wuxiang looked at Yu Shenying and said, he should have gone through 8 samsara tribulations already. If he goes through one more, his bloodline will be as strong as the samsara emperors. 8 samsara tribulations. It seemed to be equivalent to the 8-star shaking head, 8-star divine eyes, level 8 holy body of abyss, and so on. But from a certain point of view, it was not the case. The evolution of the samsara holy body was accompanied by a huge risk of being annihilated. Since the risk was so high, the benefits it brought would be extraordinary. Chu Hen secretly let out a sigh of relief. The Samsara sacred clan was indeed the publicly acknowledged leader of the 10 strongest sacred clans. It was no wonder that the super-monstrous geniuses of the other clans paid so much attention to Yu Shenying. Bang! Waves of heat filled the sky, and fireballs danced wildly. The energy dissipation formation on the high firmament sky platform operated to the extreme, but the scorching waves still couldn't be suppressed and pounced on the surrounding mountains. Amidst the scorching cyclone that filled the sky, the enormous flame beast was directly torn apart. Yen Hanyu stood in the air, looking down at the completely unharmed Yu Shinin amidst the rapid waves of air. "You're as strong as ever. I'm starting to regret finding you so quickly. Just use your strongest move. You've dragged it out a little too long." Yu Shinin replied calmly. "Long?" Everyone below the stage exclaimed inwardly. It had only been 2 moves. Did Yu Shinin want to be like Emo Nanquan, who devoured the sacred clan, and win in 3 moves? Yen Hanyu revealed a cold smile. "You're thinking too much. I'm not that weak, Buzz." As soon as he finished speaking, Yen Hanyu's body erupted with a dazzling divine splendor. Endless dazzling light directly illuminated the heavens and the earth. Accompanied by an extremely intense spatial fluctuation, a giant apocalyptic wheel appeared in the sky behind Yen Hanyu. The circular wheel of light overflowed with colorful light, and it was covered in complicated mysterious patterns. It slowly rotated. It was like a heavenly gate that led to another world. "This is?" Chen Jingfeng, Sen Yuan, Long Mie, Lei Kuan, and the other super-monstrous geniuses couldn't help but narrow their eyes. Their faces, which were illuminated by the golden light, became solemn. "I originally wanted to save this move for you in the finals, but now I can't wait any longer." Flames rose in Yen Hanyu's eyes, and his handsome face revealed a sinister expression. He coldly looked down at Yu Shinin. Flame God descends. Buzz, under countless shocked gazes, the apocalyptic door floating in the sky slowly opened as it rotated. In an instant, the entire spirit abyssal peak was bathed in a scorching light. Screech, a terrifying aura surged out, and the clear cry of a divine bird resounded through the heavens. Then, golden figures flew out one after another. Each figure glowed with a golden divine radiance and a scorching wave of energy. "What's that? Golden crow?" Looking at the golden divine bird phantoms that charged out one after another, everyone's eyes widened, their faces filled with shock. Golden crow, the legendary clone of the sun. Wherever it went, it burned mountains, boiled seas, and burned everything in the world. At this moment, it was as if Yen Hanyu had opened a passage to the sun and the sun, summoning the most terrifying divine power. Screech. The golden crows that blotted out the sky formed a majestic, magpie bridge river that flowed down diagonally. The temperature of the huge high heaven terrace competition area, and even the entire Spirit Empress Peak, rose sharply. The bridge of the Golden Crow was like countless clones of the sun. It stirred up a destructive aura that could burn everything and rush towards Yu Shinin. Chapter 1626. In the high firmament platform competition area, a dazzling aurora illuminated the 9 heavens. It was as if a scorching storm that could incinerate all things had gathered. Golden crows blotted out the sky and covered the earth as they converged to form a heavenly river that charged towards Yu Shinin. Screech! Woo! An incomparably terrifying aura enveloped the entire high firmament platform competition area. Scorching air currents spread out in all directions. At this moment, everyone felt as if they were in a huge furnace. The terrifyingly high temperature seemed to be able to melt the entire world into lava at any moment. Moreover, Yu Shinin was at the epicenter of the high temperature. Every golden crow that swooped down emitted a life-reaping power that could incinerate everything. The surrounding space trembled uneasily. Countless dazzling whirlwinds of light dragged through the sky. Yu Shinin's eyes reflected the densely packed golden shadows. Then, the corners of his mouth rose. If this is your trump card, then I can only say sorry. What? Everyone's hearts jolted. The moment he finished speaking, Yu Shinin raised his hands. Along with a towering cold aura, the high firmament platform behind him directly exploded from the middle. As the sky was filled with flying rock fragments, A huge skeletal ghost hand that flickered with a netherworld cold light broke through the platform, holding a boundless divine might as it soared into the sky. Nether Tao, Ghost Lord Blood Hand, the power of the Nether Tao of the Six Paths of Reincarnation. Yushinin, who was as steady as a boulder, suddenly erupted with his aura. The huge skeletal ghost hand stirred up a dense, cold, and vicious aura as it smashed towards the incoming Magpie Bridge Milky Way. Bang! Bang! The huge ghost hand was extremely berserk. Wherever it went, Golden Crow clones exploded one after another. Wave after wave of chaotic shock waves swept through the heavens and earth, sweeping out in all directions. The incomparably spectacular scene continuously impacted everyone's visual nerve. The Ghost Lord's hand was extremely sharp. It was like a demonic god's hand that had reached into a herd of beasts, crushing everything in its path. The heavens and earth trembled. The sky lost its color. The entire competition area's energy dispelling array operated to the extreme, frantically absorbing the shock waves that spread out in all directions. But even so, the Lingshao balcony in front of him was still crushed by the aftermath of the explosion, leaving a huge crater. Hidden Universe God's might was unstoppable. Yan Hanyu's expression couldn't help but change as he watched the skeletal hand tear through the burning sky storm. However, before Yan Hanyu could attack again, Yu Shinin's eyes turned cold. He clenched the air with one hand, and the Ghost Lord's bloody hand erupted with a dense bloody light. Following that, its speed and power increased exponentially. The terrifying palm instantly pierced through the great bridge formed by the countless Golden Crow avatars and whistled all the way to Yan Hanyu. Damn it! Yan Hanyu was shocked, and his eyes immediately widened. Bang! A heavy and violent sound rang out, and the huge palm that was like a ghost hand that covered the sky smashed into Yan Hanyu's body like a mountain. A scorching heat wave mixed with blood-colored light patterns exploded in the void. Yan Hanyu felt as if he had been struck by an enormous force. His body fiercely shook, and the world-destroying godly punishment flames that lingered around his body were immediately shattered into pieces and scattered wantonly. Senior Brother Yen. Everyone from the Burning Sky Saint clan was shocked. Even the Burning Sky Emperor, who was on the 10 Directions Emperor's throne platform, couldn't help but narrow his eyes. The fierce impact caused Yan Hanyu to retreat step by step, and his scattered power constantly swayed. Without giving Yan Hanyu a chance to stabilize himself, Yu Shinin, who was below, quietly raised his left hand, and a series of rapid black cyclones gathered in his palm. The shockingly terrifying rhythm distorted the surrounding space. Not good. Chen Jingfeng of the Sacred Star Clan clenched his fists lightly. His gaze moved back and forth between Yu Shinin and Yan Hanyu, and there was still some anxiety in his eyes. Human Tao, Extreme Flare Blade. Bang! The moment Yu Shinin's voice fell, the air above the high sky platform was directly cut and pierced. Suddenly, a black, cone-shaped light pillar dragged out a powerful wave of air in the void. The light flashed, and a muffled bang shook everyone's eardrums. This time, the cone-shaped light pillar didn't pierce through the flame beast, but Yan Hanyu's chest. Blood danced in the air. Frost and dust filled the sky, and the surroundings were silent. Yan Hanyu's eyes were wide open. The black light pillar was like a meteor that traveled back thousands of years, piercing through the void and his body. The pain instantly numbed his entire body. The power that had yet to reform completely collapsed, and the world-destroying godly punishment flames that lingered around his body also quickly retracted. This scene caused countless people to tremble. Yan Hanyu landed on the ground, and with a bang, he fell into a pile of rubble. The hearts of everyone from the Burning Heaven clan also sank to the bottom. Xin Yuan, Long Mia, Mo Nanquan, Chen Jingfeng, and the other monstrous geniuses were all moved. For moves, Yu Shinin had only used 4 moves in the beginning. However, the shock that these 4 moves brought to the crowd was even greater than the 3 moves that Emo Nanquan from the Devouring Saint clan had used to defeat Yao Yong from the Great Desolation Saint clan. Warm blood flowed out of Yen Hanyu's chest, and he lay powerlessly on the pile of rubble. His pale face was filled with deep disbelief. I lost. Yen Hanyu murmured softly, weak and powerless. However, Yu Shinin had no intention of taking his life. The corner of his mouth lifted slightly, and he said extremely calmly, I'm sorry to tell you that you've been eliminated. There was no joy or anger in his tone, but it made people feel an indescribable fear. Yen Hanyu's fingers dug deep into the rubble, and he clenched his teeth. He looked unwilling, but there was nothing he could do. The winner is Yu Shinin from the Reincarnation Saint clan. Shangguan Wuzi announced loudly. However, before the other party could continue, Yu Shinin lifted his cold eyes and turned to look at another spectator seat. You come along too. Everyone was shocked again and again. Everyone's eyes swept over to where the Star Saint clan was. The place where Yu Shinin's gaze landed was none other than Chen Jingfeng. He called out his name in public. Even though Yu Shinin's tone was not provocative at all, it gave people the feeling that there was an invisible sharp sword pointing at Chen Jingfeng. The relaxed expression that had always existed on Chen Jingfeng's face had long since disappeared. He looked at Yu Shinin and he could not help but clench his fist. Very surprised, right? Yu Shinin raised his eyebrows and said calmly, I'm just worried that you won't be able to wait for me. Of course, you can also choose to forfeit. He used the calmest tone to describe the most overbearing aura. Chen Jingfeng was instantly caught in a dilemma. You can't beat him. Bai Qianyu from the Holy-Eyed Saint clan said softly. Chen Jingfeng looked to the side, and he looked at Bai Qianyu in surprise. But then, disappointment flashed in his eyes, because Bai Qianyu's face did not show any concern, not even a trace of worry. She was merely reminding him with a statement. Seems like you're not concerned. Chen Jingfeng smiled with a complicated expression. Bai Qianyu's beautiful eyes rippled, and she shook her head with a smile like a friend, but she did not say anything else. However, then, Chen Jingfeng's eyes flashed with determination. A light flickered in the air, and Chen Jingfeng suddenly disappeared from his original position. Whoosh! The air on the platform trembled, and Chen Jingfeng suddenly appeared in the sky above the Lingshao platform. Just like the name of their clan, Chen Jingfeng was as dazzling as a bright star, and he looked down at Yu Shinin. I have waited for this day for a long time. Please enlighten me, Yu Shinin. Chapter 1627. I've been waiting for this day for a long time. Please enlighten me, Your Excellency Yu Shinin. Chen Jingfeng stood in the air like a dazzling moon and stars. He looked down at Yu Shinin with a demeanor that was not inferior to him. However, at this moment, everyone's hearts had yet to recover from the previous battle. Chen Jingfeng's appearance once again firmly grasped everyone's attention. Is this the finals already? Not yet. It's still the second round. It's only the second round, and so many popular contestants have already been eliminated. This is going to break the historical record of the Holy Race Conference, right? At the same time, Yen Hanyu was supported down by 2 Burning Sky Saint clan disciples. When they passed by the Holy Eye clan spectator seats, Yen Hanyu looked at Bai Qianyu dejectedly and said weakly, Don't you think I'm very embarrassing? Bai Qianyu shook his head. Don't worry. You looked very graceful when you fell to the ground. Yen Hanyu couldn't help but laugh. If you say that, then I'm relieved. I hope that old Chen won't lose too badly. If he loses, then I still have a chance. But if he accidentally wins, then you'll have one less pursuer. Good mentality. Bai Qianyu smiled. Of course. After all, it's not embarrassing to lose to that guy. Although Yen Hanyu's smile was somewhat dry and helpless, his opponent was the Samsara Saint clan, who had won the championship 9 times, so he didn't explode too much. Of course, this was also related to his personality. On the cloud tower, Yu Shinin once again faced Qin Jingfeng. Everyone in the audience was looking forward to seeing the two of them. However, after the previous battle, the majority favored Yu Shinin. You knew you would lose, but you still dared to go up. I, Yu Shinin, am willing to give you some respect. Yu Shinin looked up, and ripple-like dark red spirit runes appeared in his eyes. As the spirit runes swayed, Yu Shinin's face actually became somewhat demonic. His body also emitted a violent aura similar to that of a demon beast. Crack! Crack! In the air, there seemed to be a tearing sound of sharp teeth rubbing against each other. Along with the roar of the cold wind, the sky of the ninth heaven was suddenly covered by dark clouds. A sharp glint flashed through Yu Shinin's eyes. A gust of earth-shattering cold air enveloped the entire high heaven balcony. Within the black storm, dark red shadows of ferocious beasts appeared one after another. What's that? Everyone's expressions changed. Amidst the violent storm, an especially terrifying and vicious aura spread out. Looking from afar, the beast silhouettes that appeared were about a dozen meters in size. They looked like lizards and evil dragons. They had strong limbs, tails, and perfectly curved bodies. Every beast silhouette exuded an extremely violent and bloodthirsty aura. Heh! Yu Shinin grinned, and the bloody light in his eyes made him look like a ferocious beast king. In order not to drag things out for too long, I'll make the first move. Boom! At the same time his voice sounded, an incomparably majestic aura furiously stirred the sky. Even the surface of the stage, which was swiftly cracking apart, was swiftly ignited with a pair of magma-like fiery wings on the backs of thousands of blood-colored beast figures. Qin Jingfeng's eyes were slightly round as he stood in the void. It was as if he was being stared at by countless ferocious beasts. Beast Dao, heaven-devouring ferocious horde! Yu Shinin shouted softly. The area that was enveloped by the black storm instantly erupted with terrifying fluctuations that could split the heavens. In an instant, the group of terrifying ferocious creatures were completely enraged, and they transformed into numerous afterimages that were as swift as bolts of lightning as they assaulted Qin Jingfeng in the sky. Qin Jingfeng seemed to be at the center of the storm, and within the storm, there were terrifying ferocious beasts that could tear everything apart. Qin Jingfeng furrowed his brows. Without saying a word, he extended his palms downwards. Buzz buzz, then, thousands of dazzling starlight rays blossomed from Qin Jingfeng's body. Strands of pure and holy light gathered in front of Qin Jingfeng's fingertips, and a circle of light rippled rhythmically in the air. Mysterious droplet-shaped objects actually appeared around Qin Jingfeng's fingertip. Each water droplet was only the size of a thumb. They were nearly transparent and overflowing with light. Looking at the ferocious beasts that covered the sky and covered the earth, Qin Jingfeng's eyes shone like stars. Then, he raised his 10 fingers outward. Extreme star dimension. Whoosh! Whoosh! The instant Qin Jingfeng's voice fell, all of the raindroplet-shaped, mysterious objects attacked him. In an instant, incomparably powerful beams of light suddenly shot out from the void. Bang! The laser-like beams of light struck the ferocious beasts, causing blood to splatter everywhere and limbs to explode. The aurora was like rain. Beam after beam of light shot down and pierced through the dense horde of beasts. Every ferocious beast that was hit rapidly disintegrated from the inside out. The incomparably shocking scene impacted the visual nerves of everyone present. The raindroplet-shaped, mysterious objects were extremely fast. Everyone could only see the destructive beams that traversed the heavens and earth. Clouds of blood exploded in the sky one after another. One after another, the ferocious beasts disintegrated. The bloodthirsty ferocious beasts that flapped their magma wings were like a string of huge firecrackers exploding in the sky. The area enveloped by the black storm instantly turned into a land of death. Shock. Shock filled everyone's face. Looking at the crisscrossing laser beams, Yang Kai had no doubt that even a great Saint King realm powerhouse would be pierced into pieces in the blink of an eye if they were hit. Is the power of the stars so terrifying? Yi Yao, Long Qingyang, and the others who were sitting next to Chu Hen also frowned in shock. The power of the stars. As the name suggested, it could communicate with the power of the 9 heaven stars and control the divine power of the fallen stars. Although it was not as all-encompassing as the samsara sacred body, the power of the sacred body of the stars was not to be underestimated. What shocking penetrative power! Even Chu Hen was secretly amazed. From the outside, the raindroplet-shaped objects seemed to be a bit similar to magnificent star jade. However, Chu Hen could clearly sense that the density of the power contained in the two was on a completely different level. Even the penetrative power formed by the condensation of the 1000-chest star seal was not even 1/10 of the raindroplet objects. Moreover, the raindrops could change their direction according to Chen Jingfeng's control. Chen Jingfeng is too cool. It's really dazzling. Yu Shinin underestimated him. I feel like the Star Sacred Clan is going to win. Looking at the firecrackers of the ferocious beasts that overturn the heavens and the earth, one scene after another of extremely shocking and majestic halos surged through the sky, like a myriad of meteorites exploding to the heavens. In the blink of an eye, the dense horde of beasts that blotted out the sky and covered the earth were minced into pieces. Chen Jingfeng's imposing manner shook the heavens, and he revealed his unparalleled elegance. Then, he moved his palm towards Yu Shinin's position. Go! With a soft shout, the raindrops that filled the sky immediately tore through the storm and shot towards hidden Yu Shinin, dragging along beautiful laser beams behind them. An extremely terrifying and dangerous aura whizzed down. The ray of light pierced through the sky, erupting with a myriad of killing intent. Calm. Wonderful Bookstore Calm. Chapter 1628. Boom, 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 rays of light pierced through the air, piercing through everything. It was as if a series of firecrackers had exploded in the sky above the high firmament platform competition area. The starlight energy was like a shuttle. After turning all the ferocious creatures into a bloody mist, numerous bolts of light tore through the storm and swept towards Yu Shinin with an endless killing aura. The terrifying raindrops were extremely fast. An ordinary person's eyes simply couldn't keep up with their speed. Everyone only saw dozens of rays of light pierce through the chaotic storm and reach Yu Shinin in the blink of an eye. However, in the face of Chen Jingfeng's terrifying attack rhythm, Yu Shinin's expression was still so calm that it made people feel uneasy. His eyes rapidly reflected the light rays of the raindrops, and the corners of his mouth curled up. Buzz, an extremely powerful repulsive force surged out of his body. In that instant, the scene before everyone's eyes seemed to slow down. A rippling curtain of light quietly appeared in front of Yu Shinin. The curtain was nearly transparent, like a layer of water. Swish, 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 the light rays of the raindrops slammed into the layer of water one after another, and their speed visibly slowed down. However, the moment the light rays passed through the layer of water, their speed immediately returned to its original state. Looking from afar, the water film light curtain only lowered the raindrops for half a second. However, in this half a second, Yu Shinin's eyes revealed a trace of demonic charm, and a pair of strange magma stone wings suddenly sprouted from his back. Then, the pair of stone wings immediately unfurled and enveloped Yu Shinin. Bang, 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 a series of heavy explosions shook the entire area, and a terrifying shock wave immediately swept out from the high firmament platform's ground. The boundless starlight was like an exploding meteorite. Layer after layer, the platform rapidly split open, and countless huge cracks spread out in all directions. The area within 1,000 feet of Yu Shinin's position caved in. All the rocks, big and small, that flew into the air were directly crushed by the majestic starlight before they could even reach the sky. However, the super-monstrous genius from the Samsara Saint clan stood like a boulder in the face of such a powerful piercing force. Everyone was so shocked that they didn't even dare to blink. Heavens, even this couldn't break through Hidden Universe God's defense? It's too scary. On the burning heaven St. Clan's side, Yen Hanyu, who had already returned to the stage, clenched his fists and looked at Chen Jingfeng in the sky with a complicated gaze. We can't drag this out for too long. You will become more and more powerless. Humph. On the Samsara St. Clan's side, Lu Yuji sneered in disdain. You can't hurt Yushinin with just this. Buzz. Right at this moment, an unprecedented strong rhythm suddenly appeared in the sky above the dark clouds that covered the sky. What was going on? Everyone was shocked and raised their heads to look at the sky. In the dark sky, bright stars were quietly dotted one after another. In the blink of an eye, the sky was filled with stars. Everyone felt as if they had entered the night. Moreover, those stars seemed to be very close to the ground, giving people the illusion that they could grab them with a raise of their hands. Chen Jingfeng had an imposing appearance under the tens of thousands of galaxies. He was like a starry sky overlord who controlled a vast universe. If you can receive this sword, then I, Chen Jingfeng, will accept my defeat. The moment he finished speaking, Chen Jingfeng's fingers reached down. Whoosh! An incomparably powerful tremor shook heaven and earth. Under countless solemn gazes, the stars that dotted the sky blossomed with a gorgeous, dreamy, and sacred radiance. Buzz! Countless strands of sacred radiance sprinkled down from the sky like an aurora. Chen Jingfeng's body trembled slightly, and his eyes flickered like stars. Under Chen Jingfeng's control, countless starlight auroras shot down from the same angle. Thousands of dazzling lights gathered and revolved around each other while moving at high speed, quickly converging to form a huge silver sword with brilliant lights and vibrant colors. Hum! The especially terrifying hum of the sword shook the souls of everyone present. The enormous sword seemed to be condensed from the essence of billions of stars. Gorgeous flowing spirit patterns revolved around it. Wherever it went, a long and narrow crack was torn open in space. What a terrifying aura! Everyone's hearts were taut as they stood up and prepared to leave. Xin Yuan, Mo Nanquan, Long Mie, Lei Kuan, and the other super-monstrous geniuses all revealed expressions of fear. This sword could destroy the heavens and the earth. The incomparably majestic aura was comparable to a meteorite pressing down. Hidden Yushini, who was below, raised his cold eyes and a smile appeared on his face. Finally, there's something decent with that. A black samsara storm whirlpool swept out around Hidden Yushini. He raised his arms slightly, and a series of similarly sharp sword cries rang out. In an instant, a dozen or so black sword shadows surrounded by a dim light actually floated around Hidden Yusheniing. Azura Path, with a soft shout, the boundless evil aura, which represented supreme murderous malevolence, raged like a terrifying beast that had broken free from its cage. The geniuses and monstrous geniuses of the various sacred clans were all frightened. Even the great emperors on the 10 emperors' throne platforms in the north slightly narrowed their eyes. Human path, nether path, beast path, Azura path, 6 paths of samsara power. In just 2 short battles, Hidden Yushini had switched between 4 different types of power as he pleased. Everyone felt great shock in their hearts. Then, Hidden Yushini joined his palms together. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The dark sword shadows that filled the sky instantly shuttled around him. Each sword shadow was like a demonic sword that came from the Azura hell. Let me see how strong your sword is, Hidden Yushini said coldly. As you wish. The high flames of war lit up the sky. Chen Jingfeng clenched his fist and directly controlled the starry sky sword to slash down at Hidden Yushini. Star God Ash! The universe trembled and the 9 heavens swayed. The starry sky sword gathered together and swept up an endless heavenly might that seemed capable of piercing through everything. At the same time, the dark sword shadows that crisscrossed around Hidden Yushini also shot up into the sky. As they moved, all the dark sword shadows rearranged themselves. Blood energy rose and instantly turned into a Shadow Wings demon sword. Murderous blade. In an instant, the space between the sky and the earth was torn open, leaving a long and narrow gap. Under the trembling gazes of the audience, the starlight sword collided head-on with the blood-stained Shadow Wings demon sword. Bang! Boom! Stars exploded on the ground and huge waves rose to the sky. The uncontrollable terrifying power instantly shook the entire high firmament platform's competition area. The silver starlight and the blood-red Shadow Wings demon sword covered the sky and the earth. The berserk shock waves that were released were even more earth-shattering. Bang, 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 the high firmament platform's ground cracked inch by inch as it was overturned layer by layer. Under the pressure of the world-destroying heavenly might, there was a loud bang, and the majestic high firmament platform's plaza was split in the middle. A huge chasm directly spanned more than 2,000 meters. The terrifying chasm split the high firmament platform in two. Oh my God! Outside the arena, everyone's faces were deathly pale. Sun Yuan, Long Mie, Mo Nan Quan, and many other sacred race geniuses couldn't help but stand up from their seat. Even Chu Hen's eyes were filled with shock. He had to admit that the two of them were really powerful. The energy storm that was wreaking havoc in the arena continuously battered the high firmament platform. Even the surrounding mountains with spectator seats activated the energy-dispelling talisman arrays. Otherwise, such a powerful shock wave would have been enough to flatten the surrounding spectator seat. It seems like you don't have any more powerful trump cards. The corners of Yu Shini's mouth curled into a frivolous smile. What? Everyone's heart skipped a beat. Chen Jingfeng's expression also changed. The moment he finished speaking, Yu Shini stretched out his 5 fingers and a circle of black light quickly revolved. It's a pity that you only lasted one more move than the previous one. Then, the corners of Yu Shini's eyes turned cold, and he clenched his fist in the air. The black light that revolved around him immediately exploded with an extremely powerful energy wave. Bang! With a loud sound, the heaven-shaking giant sword that gathered the divine essence of billions of stars suddenly exploded. A dazzling spherical light wave swept out in the void. Countless auroras flew out and exploded, causing the 9 heavens to lose their color. The entire spiritual Empress Peak was illuminated by the dazzling light. Before everyone could react, the sky above Chen Jingfeng suddenly became violently distorted. Chen Jingfeng was shocked. Bang! An intense explosion occurred and a vast and chaotic shock wave exploded in front of him. Chen Jingfeng's body shook and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Looking at this scene, everyone's taut heartstrings trembled. Sacred Star Clan. He would also stop here. P.S. Book friends, I'm a fish that loves prawns. I recommend a free app that supports downloading, listening to books, 0 advertisements, and multiple reading mode. Dear readers, please pay attention to it. Chapter 1629. Boom! An earth-shattering shockwave wreaked havoc in the sky above the high firmament platform's competition area. At the same time, a huge wave rose in the hearts of everyone present. Under the fierce and heavy impact, Chen Jingfeng directly vomited a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground. Thud! Chen Jingfeng's feet landed on the ground. Although he didn't fall as miserably as Yan Hanyu, his knees still weakly bent. Then, he half-knelt on the platform with one knee and covered his chest with one hand, trying to suppress the surging blood energy and aching organs in his body. Hua! The cold wind howled and everyone was shocked. The huge high firmament platform was directly split in the middle, and a huge ravine cut through the north and south. Chen Jingfeng half-knelt on the west side, his aura clearly weak. On the other hand, the Samsara Saint Clan's Yu Shinin still stood like a javelin on the east side. At this moment, everyone seemed to have noticed something. It seemed that Yu Shinin hadn't moved from his position since the beginning. From the moment he faced Yan Hanyu of the Burning Sky Saint Clan, he had been standing there, unwavering and as steady as a boulder. In the end, he still lost. Yan Hanyu shook his head and sighed. There was a complicated look in his eyes. As a friend, he hoped that Chen Jingfeng would win, but as a competitor, He also hoped that Chen Jingfeng would lose. This time, he didn't need to be conflicted anymore. The reason why I spared your lives. Yu Shinin's tone was indifferent, but he exuded a peerless aura of dominating the entire arena. His sword-like brows raised slightly as he said playfully, I wanted you to personally witness how big the gap between us is. Personally witness. Gap. How big? A domineering aura like a mountain immediately swept through the entire competition area. In an instant, Chen Jingfeng's and Yan Hanyu's faces turned cold and pale. Killing people's hearts. Absolutely killing people's hearts. Chen Jingfeng's body trembled, and his eyes were filled with unwillingness and anger. However, facing Yu Shinin's powerful aura, he didn't have the courage to charge forward. At this moment, the desolate Saint Clan's Sin Yuan, the Devour Saint Clan's Mo Nanquan, the Thunder Saint Clan's Lei Kuan, the Dragon Blood Saint Clan's Long Mie, and the other super monstrous geniuses couldn't help but narrow their eyes. Yan Hanyu, who had been defeated in the last battle, clenched his fists so tightly that his knuckles turned white. He muttered to himself, Yu Shinin, just how strong are you? The bleak cold wind blew past, and the chaotic shockwaves on the stage gradually calmed down, but the hearts of the people below the stage could not calm down. This person is really too strong. Yi Yao couldn't help but feel her heart palpitate. He used 4 moves to defeat Yan Hanyu. It took him 5 moves to defeat Chen Jingfeng. Moreover, from the beginning to the end, the other party had not moved at all. After these 2 battles, the shock that Yu Shinin had given everyone far surpassed the scene of Mo Nanquan of the Devouring Sacred Clan defeating Yao Yong of the Great Wilderness Sacred Clan. Even though Mo Nanquan only used 3 moves. However, Yan Hanyu and Chen Jingfeng were practically going all out. On the other hand, Yu Shinin seemed to be holding back. After all, these people were all popular contestants on the same level. Now, Yu Shinin was dominating the entire battlefield. At this moment, everyone seemed to see the most dazzling light of the champion on him. The Samsara Sacred Clan was announcing to the world with an arrogant attitude. In the Sacred Clan Conference, they would be the overall champion, aiming for the 10th place. Yi Yao, Long Xuanshuang, Long Qingyang, and the others couldn't help but look at Chu Hen worriedly. Everyone had an indescribable complex feeling in their hearts. The 10 strongest sacred clans. Lu Tingyu of the 9 Nether Sacred Clan, Yao Yong of the Great Wilderness Sacred Clan, Yan Hanyu of Fun Tian Sacred Clan, and Chen Jingfeng of Stars Sacred Clan. The 4 strongest opponents had been eliminated one after another. Perhaps it was a good thing for Chu Hen, but at the same time, he couldn't feel happy about the current situation. Because the next opponents were really too strong. They were so strong that it was suffocating. The winner of this battle is the Samsara Sacred Clan's Yu Shinin. Congratulations on winning 2 consecutive matches and obtaining 2 points. Shangguan Wuzi, the Lord of Spirit Empress Peak, announced in surprise. Then, is there anyone acting as an attacker to shake his position as the Overlord? Overlord. It wasn't the Arena Lord. Even Shangguan Wuzi saw Yu Shinin as an existence that could dominate the entire arena. The arena was silent. Everyone's gazes searched the crowd for an existence that could rival Yu Shinin. Of the 10 strongest sacred clans, only Li Kuan of the Demonic Eye Sacred Clan and Long Mie of the Dragon Blood Sacred Clan had yet to go up. And just now, 9 Nether Sacred Clan, Great Wilderness Sacred Clan, Fun Tian Sacred Clan, and Star Sacred Clan had been eliminated. This was definitely a record in history. Dead silence. No one answered. Shangguan Wuzi raised his head slightly and raised his hand. I hereby announce that Yu Shinin of the Samsara Sacred Clan has dominated the competition zone and directly advanced. Wow! Cheers and jubilation rang out from the audience. There was absolutely no objection to the advancement. TSK, TSK, TSK. Amazing! As expected of the Samsara Sacred Clan. Yu Shinin and Lu Yuji both advanced. If Zhong Qishi was here, it would be perfect. I still don't know where that super dark horse, that completely crushed Zhong Qishi is hiding. Super Dark Horse? Seeing how terrifying Yu Shinin is, no matter how dark horse he is, he won't dare to come out. 10 places to advance. 4 were confirmed. They were Sen Yuan of the Desolate Sacred Clan, Mo Nanquan of the Devourer Sacred Clan, and Yu Shinin and Lu Yuji of the Samsara Sacred Clan. As for Bai Qianyu of the Godly Eye Sacred Clan, who had 6 points, he had to wait until the end of the second round to determine whether he would advance or not. The winner enjoyed the cheers and applause. The loser left in dejection. Yu Shinin and Chen Jingfeng, one was like the bright moon and the other was like a speck of dust in the shadows. Looking at the empty high sky platform after returning to the stage, it could be said to be full of holes. Chu Hen's heart also faintly throbbed a bit. Even though they were both the 3 heavyweights of the Samsara Sacred Clan, Zhong Qishi and Yu Shinin weren't on the same level. The difference between the two was like heaven and earth. "It's very stressful, right?" Li Wushang said in a deep voice. Chu Hen shook his head. "It's much more difficult than I imagined." Li Wushang smiled, his eyes a little bitter. "Don't force yourself. I know it's very difficult." The continuous intense battles between the favorites for the championship made everyone feel as if they were at the scene of the finals. The successive ascension of the monstrous geniuses of the various sacred clans had indeed dealt a great blow to the hearts of the other contestants. Due to their unstable mental states, no one actually ascended the stage for a while. "The competition will continue," Shangguan Wuzi reminded. The crowd below seemed to be hesitating. Suddenly, right at this moment, a young figure suddenly flashed out from a very obvious position in the spectator area that was almost overlooked by everyone. Everyone was startled. Looking at that person, the expressions of most people below the stage were a little strange. "It's someone from the Demon Eye Sacred Clan. Wow, I almost forgot that the 10 strongest sacred clans and others have yet to ascend. It's Big Brother Chu Hen's clansman." Yi Yao's eyes lit up. Chu Hen's gaze softened. The one who had ascended was not Li Kuan, but Xia Guang. Back in Kuan City, he had been one of the 3 sent by the Heavenly Wolf Star Guard Rao Failwan to test if he had the ability to return to the Demon Eye. The entire team of the Demon Eye Sacred Clan. Apart from Li Kuan, who had directly advanced to the preliminaries, only Xia Guang alone had gathered all the 10 race tokens and obtained the qualifications for this round. Yet, in the very next second that Xia Guang ascended the stage, a bright silver thunderbolt flickered through the air. Chi-chi. Accompanied by the manic rumbling of thunder, a young figure with peerless power and bearing on a completely different level from Xia Guang shockingly appeared on the other side of the sky-reaching terrace. Hua! Looking at that powerful figure flickering with the light of thunder, the expressions on everyone's faces turned even stranger. "It's him. Heh, looks like there's a good show to watch." Chapter 1630. "It's him. Heh, there's a good show to watch." Looking at that young figure standing proudly on the high sky terrace opposite Xia Guang, the spectators below all revealed an inexplicable interest. "It's that person from the Thunder Saint clan," Qiao Shaowan exclaimed. Yi Yao, Long Qingyang, Qiu Xingyi, and even Li Wushang and Long Zhan could not help but frown. The corner of Chu Hen's eyes narrowed as a hint of coldness surfaced between his brows. The newcomer was none other than Lei Kuan. It was none other than Lei Kuan. Demon Eye Saint Clan, Thunder Saint Clan. In recent times, these 2 sacred clans had been a very sensitive topic. If these 2 names were placed together, one would feel even more expectant. Lei Kuan glanced at the rather solemn Xia Guang. The corners of his mouth arched slightly as he said mildly, "Get down." Those 2 simple words were clear and piercing to the ear. It was like an order that could not be defied. Xia Guang's face darkened as he clenched his fists. "Don't be too pleased with yourself, haha." Lei Kuan smiled, a mocking look on his face. "I'm doing this for your own good. Don't you know how much you're worth? I'll give you the count of 3 to consider." You're going too far, humph. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Don't look down on me too much. Heh, I'm sorry, but you don't even have the time to count to 3. The instant his voice fell, Lei Kun grabbed the air with his 5 fingers. Whoosh! A loud and clear sword cry rang out, and a silver sword intertwined with lightning suddenly appeared in Lei Kun's palm. The sword was sharp to the extreme, lightning flickering on its blade with a lightning-shaped notch at its tip. Thunder Ascending Sword, the weapon of the Thunder Emperor. Looking at that divine sword in Lei Kun's hand that emanated a supreme sharpness, the eyes of everyone present instantly lighting up as many immediately recognized its origins. Thunder Ascending Sword, a top-notch weapon ranked 8th on the divine weapon rankings. It was also the weapon that the Thunder Emperor had personally wielded before becoming an emperor. Now that the Thunder Sword had appeared in Lei Kun's hands, it was like a gift from a supreme inheritance. Whoosh! The moment the Lei Qing sword appeared, the entire high firmament balcony was instantly overshadowed. The expression of Xia Guang of the Demon I Saint clan instantly changed as a devilish purple light erupted from his pupils, the 6 black spots in the depths of his pupils emanating powerful energy fluctuations. Silent burning demon flame, Xia Guang roared, a clump of purple flames instantly surging out of his body along with an icy cold aura. However, at the same time, Lei Kun raised his hand and slashed with his sword. Clang! The sound of thunder pierced the ears, and its power rose to the sky. A flash of silver lightning stunned the visual nerves of everyone present. In that instant, a sword light 1,000 feet long in the shape of a thunderbolt chopped out vertically. Accompanied by a deep gorge that was rapidly cut into the surface of the soaring heaven stage, the thunderbolt sword directly pierced through the purple flames surrounding Xia Guang's body, deeply embedding itself within his body. Hiss! A string of bright red blood splattered on the stage as the scene was instantly reflected in everyone's vision. Xia Guang's eyes looked like they were about to split apart as a dazzling thunderbolt erupted from his chest, the powerful impact sending him flying several hundred feet away. Bang! With just a single sword, Xia Guang was knocked to the ground by the Thunder Kun, a wound so deep that his bones could be seen and his internal organs injured, running diagonally from his left shoulder to his right rib as fresh blood seeped out unceasingly, rapidly dyeing his upper body red. The hearts of those of the Demon I Saint clan were greatly shocked. Xia Guang, Qingwen, Yi Kong and the others could not help but stand up. Li Kun's gaze was filled with frost. Vicious! Ending the battle with the power of a single sword. The sharpness emanating from the Thunder Kun was like the thunder sword in his hands, sharp to the extreme. Truly overestimating his own abilities. With just this level, he still dares to try and stop a chariot. It looks like the Demon I Saint clan is really unable to make it. Not only are they lacking in strength, they even like to forcefully show off. A commotion broke out beneath the stage. Most people looked at Xia Guang with some pity in their eyes. He could already be considered lucky enough that he had not died. Not waiting for the Lord of Spirit Empress Peak, Shangguan Wuzi, to announce the result, the Thunder Kun directly pointed the Thunder Sword in his hands towards the spectator stands of the Demon I Saint clan. His undisguised provocation was evident. The sword was pointed towards Li Kun. We have already waited for quite a long time. I, the Thunder Kun, am here. Do you dare to fight? Do you dare to fight? Provocation. Mockery. And that most incisive provocation. Everyone knew the intentions of the Thunder Kun at this moment. If the Thunder Emperor ascending the Emperor's throne platform was an obscure expression, then the Thunder Kun's current actions were directly revealing their inner thoughts to the world. The Thunder Kun was looking for the Demon I Saint clan. The handover of power between the new king and the old. The Thunder ascended, and the Demon I retreated. To all of them, they were only one battle away from completing this step of replacement. At this moment, all the pressure was on the Demon I Saint clan. The storm was much fiercer than they had imagined. Even though the demon I Saint clan had sat silently beneath the stage from beginning to end, what had to come had still come. And now, it was so irresistible that there was no way out at all. The Thunder Kuan's sword was right in front of him. There was no room for retreat. Once he did, the last shred of dignity of the demon I Saint clan would be gone. Li Kuan clenched his fists and slowly stood up under the tens of thousands of gazes from the audience. Humph, wherever the demon I looks is where the will of my clan is. Why would I, Li Kuan, be afraid of you? Why would I be afraid of you? As soon as he finished speaking, Li Kuan's eyes suddenly widened. Screech! The sharp sound of air waves stacked up. His cold eyes immediately turned purple, and the 7 black dots in the depths of his pupils quietly rotated in a clockwise direction. An invisible aura spread out in all directions. The entire sky above the high firmament platform immediately fell into darkness. Thunder rumbled and lightning flashed in the dark clouds. Li Kuan immediately landed on the high firmament platform. The 2 disciples of the demon I Saint clan carefully carried the injured Xiaoguang away from the platform. This person is quite bold. Long Qingyang frowned slightly and said with some admiration. Previously, when he was in the Violet Imperial City, he felt that Li Kuan was too arrogant and looked down on everyone. Now, his impression of Li Kuan had slightly changed. A complicated expression could be seen on Chu Hen's face as he stood by the side. Looks like he's already entered the quasi-emperor stage, he muttered softly. The atmosphere on the platform gradually turned cold. Everyone's heart sank as they looked at the 2 people standing opposite each other on the high firmament platform. On the 10 Directions Emperor's throne platform, the martial emperors all had different expressions on their faces. You've been waiting for this moment for a long time, haven't you? The Antiquity Great Emperor glanced at the Thunder Great Emperor, who was sitting next to him, with interest. The latter nodded slightly to show his respect. I'm terrified, the Antiquity Emperor said. Terrified? The Antiquity Great Emperor chuckled. I didn't see that coming. In your eyes I only saw ambition, ambition. Since he saw through it, he would say it out loud. The Thunder Emperor didn't say much. He stood upright and looked at the high heavens platform with a dignified gaze. His lips curled into a faint smile. Ambition was a thing. The Thunder Saint clan had the ability to control it.